goodness for benefitscheckup.org.
Benefits what?
benefitscheckup.org. It's a free website where people over 60 can find help to pay for food, medicine, even utilities. I got $1,200 a year in benefits. Maybe it can help you.
Imagine a disease that affects more than 10 million Americans. More than AIDS, Parkinson's, ALS, MS, and muscular dystrophy combined. Yet few know its name. Some years ago, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And after surgery, she developed lymphedema, LE, a cruel and chronic disease affecting 10 million Americans that occurs when the lymphatic system is compromised, leaving one with a lifetime of severe swelling and pain. What we found out later is its severity might have been lessened or possibly even prevented if only we were better informed. That's why I'm urging anyone facing cancer treatment to get educated. Talk to your doctor. Make it part of your cancer conversation. And if you have LE, share your story. With patients and doctors working together, we can learn and live. Learn more at lymphaticnetwork.org.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, with Dave Woloshin, weekday mornings from 10 to 11. It's time to get up and get your day started. Morant. Oh! A jawbreaker! It's Sports 56 mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports 56 mornings is brought to you by the Big Green Egg. Now, here are your hosts, Greg and Eli.
We're here. Welcome, one and all. Welcome in. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Sports 56 Mornings. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Zach Boyd with you. The Tuesday, September 17th, 2024 edition to be exact. Broadcasting live from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, it's where family and fun come together. Just a few more, I would only imagine, weeks, days, minutes left in the world's biggest spa sale. So take advantage of it. Head on over there today or later this week, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. And the first hour of the program is also brought to you by the Big Green Egg. Currently 66, very foggy out there. So if you're getting ready to leave your home or apartment, whatever the case may be careful. So areas of patchy fog. It'll get up to about 87 today. We'll see a little bit of sun. We'll see some clouds. Very little chance for rain. And hopefully the rain will be gone for a while. In fact, the forecast says it will be. 61 tonight for a low, clear skies. And then your Wednesday looks to be bright and sunny with an 86-degree high for your Wednesday afternoon. Coming up on the program today, boy, we're going to be busy. Lots to talk about with Memphis Tigers football as they now turn the page and get set for Navy. But last night, the coaches show took place for Ryan Silverfield, his radio show, and a special guest in the audience, Tim Pernetti, who will be joining us in studio at 8:25, the commissioner of the American Conference. Good timing. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose in the timing award. We win this time around, as yesterday there was the news about the American going after Air Force. There's also the news, of course, the rumors about Memphis and some others from the American that could be suited or could be pursued by the Pac-12. So a perfect opportunity to talk to Tim about a number of things. We'll have him for two segments in studio starting at 8:25. At 9:05, we'll talk with Blake Topmeyer, who covers college football for the USA Today Network, specifically the SEC. We'll preview the Tennessee-Oklahoma matchup. Also, he has put a list together of a number of candidates for the Florida job, assuming Billy Napier is let go, and there's a good chance. And Ryan Silverfield's name appears on that list, so we'll talk to Blake about that. We have Humdinger's Trivia. It's Tuesday. We'll give you a chance to win a $25 gift card to Humdinger's. That'll come your way at about 8:05. Also have some basketball news to get to. Hunter Yurachek, the Arkansas AD, appeared at the Touchdown Club last night, had some things to say when asked about the future series between the Tigers and Arkansas in football. Also a comment or two about basketball, so we'll dive into that on the program today. We'll take your calls and texts on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines at 901-360-8255. That's 901-360-8255. And a comeback, not for the ages, but certainly a comeback that put a smile on the face of Arthur Blank as the Atlanta Falcons rallied in Philly to beat the Eagles. And I can tell you, there's a bunch of irate Eagles fans. That's your lineup for today. Kick back, relax, and enjoy. How are you?
I am fantastic. It was a comeback for the ages for my fantasy football team as well, so that's good. It was good ending to the game last night.
So what did you need to happen? London to catch a touchdown?
I needed Drake London to get me a touchdown.
Wow, how about that? That's lucky.
I was down by 4.
That is lucky right there. I needed our boy Jake Elliott, our friend of the show, to kick a field goal of 33 yards or longer on that final drive. They were setting up, as you know, probably about 15 to 20 yards, within 15 to 20 yards of field goal range. Would have been a long field goal, but I have faith in Jake. And Mr. Hurts throws the interception. Game over. Lost bet. It is what it is. But Atlanta, I expect Atlanta to be improved this year, and I was very disappointed after game 1 against Pittsburgh. I expect Arizona to be improved. They could have beaten Buffalo. They didn't, but came back and routed the Rams. So I feel good about that. There are a lot of surprises so far in the early going of the NFL, just 2 weeks in. There are 9 0-2 teams. There are 8, I believe, 2-0 teams. But Atlanta and Philadelphia are neither one, as they are both now 1-1, 22-21 Atlanta. If you weren't up to watch the end of that game, Philly had, was it a field goal before Atlanta went on the touchdown drive?
Yes.
It's a Jake Elliott field goal that was shorter than 35 yards. And then Atlanta went down the field. It was like 2 seconds. To be exact, it was 6 plays, 70 yards in 105. It felt like it was 2 plays in 4 seconds. And all of a sudden, boom, they were right down there, deep in the red zone. They get the touchdown pass from Kirk Cousins to London. And then last-ditch effort for the Eagles, driving after a nice pickup on a pass play. And under duress, Jalen Hurts throws the interception.
Yeah, I mean, the whole game is the conversation about the game is the decision by Nick Sirianni to throw the pass on 3rd down on that Eagles next to last drive, as it turned out to be.
Mm-hmm. Which Barkley should have caught.
And Saquon Barkley took full blame afterwards, saying, like, I let the team down. Like, the play call was a good play call, and I just dropped the ball. And
literally.
It is it is one of those things. That's one of those ultimate plays of, like, when it doesn't work, you're going to be criticized. If it does work, they'll talk about what a genius call it was and all of this stuff. And while, yeah, I mean, a little swing pass to Saquon Barkley, he probably catches that, I don't know, 99 out of 100 times. Like, it's as easy a pass to catch as you're ever going to find. Saquon Barkley is pretty darn good at catching passes. But there is the problem is there is that 1 out of 100 or whatever that it doesn't work and it's incomplete, stopping the clock. I mean, if they run the ball there, even as fast as the Falcons went down the field, it still took them 1:05, which they would not have had if the Eagles had run the ball. They would have had less than a minute. So, and the thing is, the way the Eagles were running the ball, you also might have picked up the first down running the ball. Like, there's a chance you were going to pick it up. So you could have you might have picked up the first down. You would have kept the clock running. Throwing the ball, if you had caught it, yes, you were getting the first down. But if you don't, it stops the clock and gives them an extra 40 seconds. So Yeah, I mean, that's a difficult thing. And granted, if the defense had done anything to stop the last drive, then it may not have mattered at all. But they didn't, and you lose because of that. That is one. I can't even imagine what Philadelphia talk radio is this morning discussing that play call by Nick Sirianni.
Was it a 3rd and 1?
It's 3rd and 3.
3rd and 3. So the tush push was out of the equation. It was too far for the tush push. They would have geared up for that run, and who knows? They may have, if it was Barkley carrying the ball, may have dislodged the ball from him. May have happened, but you're right about the clock. That was a high percentage pass to Barkley. I mean, he was wide open. There was nobody within 10 yards of him.
No, because, I mean, Atlanta is the last thing Atlanta's expecting is a pass. Like, everybody in the world, I mean, watching the Manning cast, like, Peyton's reaction, by the way, to that throw was unbelievable. Like, he lost his mind on that throw.
What was Belichick's reaction? Was he still there at the end of the game?
No, Belichick does
he
the
had
first
left?
half.
Okay.
It was Matt Ryan was on, and they
What
were.
did he say?
They were all three the whole time. They're like, there's no reason the whole drive, they're like, there's no reason to put the ball in the air. Like, you do not throw the ball here. Once Atlanta was out of timeouts, you don't throw the ball. There's no reason to throw the ball, especially the way you're running it. There's just no reason. And when they threw that ball and he dropped it, Peyton got up on his chair, was running around like he literally could not believe they had just actually thrown the football.
Yeah, I mean, again, I completely understand, but the Eagles still cannot allow Atlanta to go down the field in a minute and score a touchdown. You can't. That's on the defense. And they're missing Reddick. It's a big loss for them not to have him in there. They just blew that game. Absolutely blew that football game. Okay. There are now 8 undefeated teams remaining. That's it. So you have 1/4 of the teams in the NFL who are still unblemished after 2 weeks. Every division is represented, including one division where there's 2. The only division that does not have an undefeated team is the NFC East, where the Commanders, the Eagles, the Cowboys are all 1-1. The Giants are 0-2. Name me the 8 undefeated teams through 2 weeks. Again, you have a hint because there's 1 in every division. One division has 2.
Well, I know the 2 are in the NFC South. That's the Saints or the Buccaneers.
Okay, and finish up with the NFC then.
You have the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
You have the what other division is
NFC
there?
West.
The West. You have the Seahawks.
It's the Seahawks. So the 4 in the NFC are the Seahawks, the Saints, the Buccaneers, and the Vikings. Really? Who would have thunk it? Not the 49ers, not the Rams, not the Cowboys, not the Eagles, not the Lions, those 4. All right, AFC. 1 in every division.
You got the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the Steelers.
Actually, I'm sorry, there's 2 in that division in the AFC West. My bad, 2. There's 9 undefeated teams.
You have the Chargers.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You've got Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the
You got 1 in the AFC North, 1 in the AFC South.
one in addition to the Steelers.
Oh, I didn't hear you say Steelers. Yeah, Steelers. Okay.
And the AFC South is Houston.
Right. So again, so there's 9 total, 5 in the AFC, and the Chiefs. Okay, you expect that. I expected the Chargers to get off to a good start under Harbaugh. Houston, no surprise there. Buffalo, no surprise there. Pittsburgh, a bit of a surprise, but it is Mike Tomlin, who's one of the great coaches. So a little bit less surprising in the AFC. The NFC, just bonkers right now. But again, it's 2 weeks into the season. A couple of other NFL notes before we move on. The Carolina Panthers have benched Bryce Young in favor of the Red Rifle Andy Dalton. Dave Canales, just 24 hours ago, at the time he made this announcement that Dalton would start over Bryce Young, he had said, Bryce is our quarterback. So you know that Tepper got involved in this, the owner, or at least the GM. But I would say the owner got involved, told the GM, or told Canales straight up, bench the guy. bench the guy because it's a season on the brink. They're bad anyway. They're not going to win with Dalton. They're bad either way. But it's to basically wake up the fans, give them something maybe to be excited about. It's unfortunate. Bryce Young, that whole thing, I don't know, will he get another opportunity in Carolina? Maybe, maybe not. But that move was made. And then Tua will not go on the IR. Again, he says he's not going to retire, but he won't be playing this weekend. Skylar Thompson starts. Tyler Huntley, the former Raven, a one-time Pro Bowler, signed from the practice squad. He'll be the backup, and Tim Boyle, I guess, is the emergency quarterback.
Yeah, the decision with Bryce Young is, and gosh, for a number one overall pick, 2 weeks into the second season to be benched, that is, it seems crazy, but yeah, I mean, somewhat, I guess you have to do it to try and act like maybe to your fans that you are still trying to win games this year. Theoretically, you're not giving up on the season after 2 weeks. Part of it too, I mean, may just be that like you don't want Bryce Young ruined at this point. Like, just let him step away, set aside, kind of watch things for a little while, maybe kind of clear his head and hope that you find something, because I mean, they're terrible. Like, their roster is just awful. Like, there's just not anything there. But just looking, like, some of the analytics stuff on Bryce Young, like, he has been horrendous. Like, it's not all because of a terrible roster. Like, he has just been really, really bad. So I think obviously it's a new coach coming in, taking him over. I mean, Canals may look at him like, this dude just doesn't have it. Like, this is just not the guy.
Or the owner. Or the owner said that.
It is what it is. So I don't know. Like, there's talk now, like, well, if they end up with the top overall pick, do they draft another quarterback already this year or next year? I guess next year's draft, all of this stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's to think basically, the start of a second season for a number one overall pick, which you gave up a lot to get, to be benching him, that could turn out to be one of the all-time terrible trades / draft picks in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up. Of course, your Cowboys were on the good side of what is perceived as the worst trade in history, the Herschel Walker trade, and what the Cowboys were able to cash in on from all those picks and turn it into a bunch of Super Bowls. So somebody posted this yesterday. The Bears traded the number one overall pick in the 23 draft, used by the Carolina Panthers to take Bryce Young. The Bears got, in the trade, wide receiver DJ Moore, a 2023 first-round pick, which they took offensive tackle Darnell Wright, a second-round pick in which they took cornerback Tyreek Stevenson, a 2024 first-round pick in which they took one Caleb Williams, and they still have a 2025 second-rounder. That could be. Let's, again, see what happens with Young. I don't know if he'll figure it out, if it'll be in Carolina, they'll look to move him, whatever the case may be. But this will go down more than likely as one of the worst trades ever.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're especially like and who knows like how it works out in the different situations, but like you passed on C.J. Stroud to take Bryce Young. Stroud immediately is awesome in the NFL, takes his team to a division championship in year one in the playoffs. And again, I'm saying he was going to take Carolina division championship, but like Stroud looks great, Young's terrible, and you ended up having the number one overall pick the following year that you don't get to take because you made that move. That is.
Yes, but that move, it wasn't even that big of a debate. I don't think people were really torn between whether or not Carolina should take Stroud or Bryce Young. I think most people said they should take Bryce Young. The problem was, and the scouts talked about it and some of the analysts talked about it, that they felt Bryce Young was too small. He wasn't tall enough. I remember that. I remember that discussion, but it wasn't, C.J. Stroud should be number one. It was never part of that conversation, at least not that I heard of, and certainly not on this show. but they gambled with him. I don't know how much the lack of being tall, the lack of height has anything to do with it. It's a crappy team, no protection, but eventually you got to figure it out. I mean, there were a lot of great quarterbacks that played on crappy teams. Archie Manning was a great quarterback and played on a crap team and a crap organization for a long, long time. Fran Tarkenton played, on a good team, but was running for his life an awful lot. That was part of his DNA, was the scrambling to get away, to make plays. I don't know. Eventually, you have to figure it out. And they're not helping him, but he's not figuring it out, and they're going to go with the red rifle.
Raider Corey texted in on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line, says, some coaches just try to be too cute. That was the case last night. Simple as that. I don't know if it's being too cute. It's just like, in the end, the play call was a play that should work. Like it did work. I think it's just a player made a horrendous, again, Saquon Barkley catches that pass probably 999 times out of 1,000. Like it's a little drop-off pass. Like he's throwing the ball like 5 yards to him, lobbing it to him, and he's got nobody in the area.
Yeah.
It just, again, if it works, everybody's like, oh my God, what a great play call. They get the first down, the game's over, and everybody's applauding Nick Sirianni. Instead, the guy dropped it. That's the problem for Nick Sirianni. Then you have to explain why you didn't run the ball. And yeah, it may be getting too cute, but man, it's like in the end, it's just a player's got to make that play. Like that's an all-pro running back. Like I think it's Saquon Barkley.
I can tell you this. I know that if I was a coach, I would be conservative. That's who I am. I would have handed the ball off, but I love aggressive coaches. I just applauded yesterday Ryan Silverfield. He took shots with those the 1 4th down. They didn't make the catch. Lamphere dropped the ball when he rolled over. They got the ball, got points, had momentum. The momentum of the game changed. Silverfield didn't back away, stayed aggressive, went forward a couple of more times on 4th down, got the first down. Jordan Hankins, how about if he sat back and prevent defense and they went down the field and ended up scoring the touchdown, getting a 2, tying the game? No, he stayed aggressive. It doesn't always work, but I would rather see my coaches be aggressive. I wouldn't be able to do it personally myself, but I want my coaches to be aggressive. I have no problem. I have no problem with Sirianni's call. It was dropped by a guy who's been an all-pro running back. He dropped it.
And Sirianni said
those things happen.
Atlanta was loading up the middle, so they thought they could do something like that to the outside. Again, now... Which they could. And again, you got to execute the catch. Again, I guess maybe there was some safer play even to the outside again to make sure. Again, in the end, you've got to keep the clock running. Like you cannot give them the free timeout. He thought there was no possible way that would be a stop. Well, there's no way, because if it's covered, then Jalen Hurts can just go down or whatever, or run, do whatever. It wasn't covered, and you think if that's not covered, this is a completion every single time. And it just wasn't, because Saquon Barkley made a terrible play, as he admitted that, listen, it was a good play call. I screwed up. It ends up being simple as that. But yeah, Again, I can't even imagine the sports talk radio in Philadelphia this morning about Nick Sirianni and what they're saying about Nick Sirianni.
I know it quite well. I know how it will go. But eventually you move on to game number 3. Folks, do you have a lawn service and have still battled weeds all summer long? Lawn Solutions will follow up with a short email to you after each visit. If you have any concerns or questions, you can simply hit a tab. It takes you right to the owner's email. It doesn't get any easier than that. They believe, Brandon Holly and his team of professionals at Lawn Solutions, that being transparent with customers is an asset to small businesses. So call or text Lawn Solutions today at 901-867-5626 or go online to lawnsolutionsinc.net. That's lawnsolutionsinc.net. Our families are very grateful for the opportunity to earn your trust. And even though we're starting to get closer to fall and then eventually winter, they take care of your lawn all year long. So when spring is sprung, you won't see those weeds. It's Lawn Solutions, locally owned, family operated. Call them again at 901-867-5626 or go online to lawnsolutionsinc.net. We're talking plenty of college football when we come back. The rumors that are out there about the Pac-12, the rumors about Air Force and the American, all kinds of things. Plus Hunter Yurachek, the AD of the University of Arkansas Razorbacks, who was in Memphis last night, what he had to say about a future 3-game series with the Tigers and the Hogs on the gridiron. It's all coming up as we continue right here on Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Discover a brilliant selection of natural diamonds, along with our promise of unmatched quality and service. The only real diamond is a natural diamond from Sissy's. Find yours when you stop by any of our 6 locations or shop online at sissyslogcabin.com. Discover the natural diamond of your dreams only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
I'd rather ride a bike with my kids.
Faster! I'd rather play catch with my dog than catch pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. If you are 19 or older with certain chronic conditions like heart disease or asthma, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I'd rather race for some ice cream. Let's go!
Schedule your vaccination today at Prevnar20.com.
Ready to take your game day or tailgating to a whole new level? The Crazy Coop on Stage Road has you covered. Whole wings, boneless wings, over 32 mouth-watering secret sauces, jalapeno cheddar, and barbecue bacon bourbon. If you have 6 people or 60, kick off your game day with Crazy Coop party packs for at home or wherever you tailgate. Special bulk prices are a touchdown for you. Visit crazycoopstage.com to customize your wings and sauces like Nashville Hot or Crazy Hot Suicide. Don't forget to add garlic Parmesan fries, fried dill pickles, and refreshing carrot and celery sticks. For the full menu, visit crazycoopstage.com. Burgers, catfish fillets, nuggets, crazy kid meals. That's crazycoopstage.com. You'd be crazy to not visit the Coop. The Crazy Coop is on Stage Road west of Appling, and stay tuned for the new downtown location opening soon. Visit crazycoopstage.com.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments
Welcome to Flight 101.
to annual girls trip moments, your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
They're taking care of beerness in Memphis right on the river with Grind City Brewing and all of their great products. Look, this was a dream come true for a father and son duo. And if you have not been to that brewery right on the river, just to the north of downtown, you're really missing something special. And now you can't miss their products. Wherever you go, you see a brand new label. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's distinctive. You'll know Grind City Brewing, and of course you know their products like Poppy's Pills, that great Pilsner, or Tiger Tail, that very creative craft malt liquor. There's the new Thaddeus Amber Lager. That is absolutely a great light beer. There's the India Pale called Godhopper. It's outstanding. And then there's the Belga, the Belgian-style wheat ale. They keep bringing hits at Grind City Brewing.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's starting to crank up a little bit more volume on Bill Morris Parkway coming inbound, which has been in pretty good shape so far on 385 as you work your way past Riverdale, coming up towards 240, getting on that ramp there, passing Mount Moriah. Still looks good right now, 55 north as you work your way up through South Haven, coming up from into South Memphis. Hey, don't miss the Paul Prince Party coming up September 28th at the Humane Society of Memphis and Shelby County. Take a tour, meet some of the animals. For more information, log on to memphishumane.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back, everyone. 7:29 the time. A couple of things from yesterday afternoon. The Tigers announcing that, well, the Tigers didn't announce, but it was announced that the Tigers will play Middle Tennessee State September 28th at 6:30. At 6:30. So the game time was announced. 6:30 Central Time, Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium on ESPNU. Assuming the Tigers can beat Navy this week, which will not be an easy task. By the way, we'll have the voice of Navy, Pete Medhurst, joining us tomorrow to break down the game. But with the assumption they win, they're a 10-point favorite. The Middle Tennessee State game on a Saturday night, so no excuses about a morning game or an early game. I don't know what the weather will be like. Nobody does. Only Mother Nature knows, but hopefully nice. And if it's nice and it's an evening kickoff and Memphis is 4-0 and who knows, maybe they get into the AP Top 25. They're already in the coaches poll. Pack that place at 33,000. Pack that place. So 6:30, Saturday, September 28th. Also, yesterday, Seth Hennigan named the Offensive Player of the Week in the American for the third time in his career. He was 25 of 38, 272 yards, a couple of touchdowns, one pick, and just that calm, cool personality. He's Joe Cool out there leading the Tigers to the win. And Chandler Martin has been absolutely tremendous since his arrival on campus. He was the Defensive Player of the Week in the American Conference. 8 tackles, 6 solos, 2.5 for loss, 1 sack, and a fumble recovery. So a clean sweep for Memphis as far as the offensive and defensive players of the week.
Yeah, and back-to-back weeks where they've had the Defensive Player of the Week. That we haven't. That hasn't been the case very often.
So last night, Hunter Yurachek was at the Touchdown Club. He's the Arkansas AD. And was asked by local media about the schedule coming up against Memphis, which includes 3 games. Now, on Twitter, there were some folks talking about Memphis was owed a game from the 90s. Again, I don't know what that's all about. That's Frank Broyles, for goodness sake. This is Hunter Yurachek. So I don't know if that's the one game, and I don't know. All I know is they got 3 games on the schedule. 1 next season in Memphis, 1 in 2026 in Fayetteville, and 1 in 2028 in Fayetteville. Correct? Mm-hmm. 3 games on the schedule. Something I found out yesterday from friend of the show, Jonah Dillon, from the Commercial Appeal, is that if anybody backs out of a game, it's $3 million that they owe the other school. And if they back out of 2 games, that's $6 million. But right now, the way it would be is Memphis gets their gate, Arkansas gets their gate, and then Arkansas obviously has the second game, but they also give Memphis $1 million. Right? If I had that all correct. So Yurachek was asked about next year because Memphis, again, will have a limited capacity stadium. Could they move that game and basically flip-flop from 25 to 26? And he said he would be open to possibly flipping the dates, which makes sense to me. Now, there are some people out there, Tiger fans, that feel, they're going to screw the Tigers over. They're not going to play that game in Memphis. Well, again, if they don't play the game in Memphis in 2026 and they walk out of there won't be a game, I'm sure, in 2028. So I don't know if that means Arkansas would owe Memphis $6 million. They'd at least owe them $3 million. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to do this. You do not want to have Arkansas next season in a game in which you're playing with a limited capacity. You want to take advantage of when you get the opportunity to have an Ole Miss, an Arkansas, Mississippi State in your stadium. And even though it's a lot of their fans, that's a lot of revenue for the school.
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked with Jeff Crane about this way back when. Brought this up with him. But the problem is, if you do that, next year you have 3 of your 4 non-conference games on the road. And you only have 5 home games. So I don't think they want to do that. So unless you're going to start doing some other changing around, I don't think they're just. I don't know that they would want to just say, okay, we're going to play at Arkansas. Ryan Silverfield certainly isn't going to want to play 3, not 8 road games or 7 road games and 5 home games. The school certainly isn't going to want to only have 5 home games. So
who else is on that schedule? And you could possibly move that as well.
Well, you got the return game for Troy, and then they're at Georgia State.
Okay, possibly Troy would have. Again, it's a domino effect. You change a game, then they got to change a game. I understand all that, but maybe Troy would be okay with moving the game to 26. I don't know. I'm just thinking.
But in 26, they already got. I mean, I guess if you did that, but then you got to replace Troy completely on the schedule for next year. You
right.
just got to go get an opponent.
Right.
It's not easy to do at this point.
Well, there's some teams
you've already got your 4 games for 26 scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I mean, I don't know where Troy's schedule stands, all that stuff. So you wouldn't be able to move them to 26 unless you move another game out of there, and so you're chasing things down the road constantly, and you're asking for a lot of cooperation out of a lot of teams.
You are, but it can be done. It certainly can be done. Now, the other way to look at it is, well, you have a limited capacity. Hopefully that the Memphis Tigers fans will buy up those tickets. There'll be more season tickets sold next year. I don't know if that would be the case because, again, they're all in this year. This is your final year with Seth Hennigan. There'll be a bunch of changes next year. Still, I think they're going to be able to go out there and get players now with the NIL and the deal that they have with FedEx. So I think they'll be good. But to ask a young quarterback, whoever that may be, to come in and all of a sudden be able to do what Seth did is a lot to ask for. But you never know. But the point is that you can do that next year. You'll have probably some people in red buying up some tickets, and you will have a limited amount of revenue that you can bring in. You can just stick with it. If that's what you want to do, you can just stick with it. I'm not sure. The school has not said anything. It's been us in the media or it's been fans talking about that. The school hasn't said that they are going to pursue moving that game. But it is interesting.
Well, Jeff Crane had said that was something they had looked at.
Oh, Jeff told us that? Okay, yeah, I don't even remember.
Like he said, like they have considered that. Like they've looked at this, and I think he even said at the point said may have been there like some preliminary conversations or something like that. But they understand like it's but
it's 20,000 or more less people.
And I think at that point, I think he even talked about the fact that again it's tough because you already have 2 non-conference road games for next year.
Yeah. Again, you got to do what's right for the program. You got to do what's right for your coach. But also you have to look at the big picture financially. What's the situation? How much revenue do you project to lose? What would be the anticipation of amount of fans that you would get for a Arkansas game at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium with capacity at 55, 56,000, whatever it is going to be after the renovations, as opposed to what you have now. These are the things that got to be taken into consideration when trying to pursue this. But you're right. Other schools would have to be involved, and the domino effect would be in play.
Texter says, if Arkansas agrees to do a flip-flop and we do have Arkansas for 2026 at home, I'm totally down for that. I mean, again, that would, if it was just that simple, that would be great. But again, I don't know. I'm going to guess that Ryan Silverfield is not going to be like, no, yeah, and the school is not going to be like, no. I mean, we're not only playing 5 home games next year.
Right. And the other thing is, too, as we talked about with Troy, you asked Troy if you move the year for the return game, but then you have to add a team, and more than likely you're adding a team that it's going to be a bye game. So then there's money you're going to have to pay out to that team. And you got to take that into consideration when you're calculating the money that would be lost possibly from a $55,000 to a $32,000, and then what you would have to pay out to the team that you would bring in next year.
Yeah, I don't know what the contracts for these games are, and with Georgia State. And again, but if you get rid of one of those, either Georgia State or Troy, you have to find a team who will come in and play you.
Yeah, but
and on very short notice to do so. Again, what Lane Kiffin talked about with what Ole Miss. Now, there's a difference because they got to try and find a Power 4 opponent, but you got to try and find an opponent who has an opening on their schedule next year that's willing to come play a road game next year on that short notice. That's not easy to do. And they can't go grab, a couple years ago when they had to go get Bethune-Cookman. They already have Chattanooga on the schedule next year, so you can't go get another FCS opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, it isn't just a simple, hey, would you like to flip-flop 2025 and 2026? Yeah, okay, good. Done deal. Like, there's a lot of other things that have to be taken into account in trying to figure that out.
By the way, in the case of Ole Miss and Wake Forest, perhaps they make these contracts a little more ironclad, a little more penal if you want to get out of them, as opposed to $1 million, make it $10 million. And therefore, Wake Forest would not have gotten out of that contract to play Ole Miss next year in a return game in Oxford. Also, and by the way, kudos to Hunter Yurachek for saying that, yeah, he's open to possibly doing that. He didn't sit there and say, no, it's a contract. Yeah, because he'd also like to see Max Arkansas fans at an away game. He would like to see that.
Well, he talked about the regional games and the thinks that those are good things, and yeah, that's great. I wish all of the regional teams would love to play those games, and it's if you the more you can get, the better it is for Memphis to be able to play those regional games.
Yeah, nobody's talking about dropping a game; they're just talking about moving a game. He was also asked about basketball. I love when you get the ADs talking basketball. It's always, hey, my hands are clean. It's up to the coaches. Coaches are going to decide that. That's why you have the feud that you have with Barnes and Penny. And as long as Barnes is the coach at Tennessee, it's never going to happen. And then, who knows? Penny's commented about John Calipari. I don't see it ever happening where Memphis would play a regular season game at FedEx Forum against that Arkansas would come here to play. Would they play at a neutral court? Yes. Would Cal invite Arkansas or invite Memphis to come to Arkansas? Yes. Would he play in one of those exhibition games that we're going to see this year, as Memphis will play North Carolina at home and will play Alabama in Huntsville? He might be up for that, but there is no way. I would be shocked if he says, yeah, let's do a home and home. We'll come to you 1 year, you come to us 1 year. No, I don't see it. Maybe a 2-for-1. I just don't. He'll say things, but I really don't think he wants to play Memphis. But Penny, again, one of the real positives about Coach Hardaway is that he will play anybody, anywhere, anytime, and has tried. He has tried to make that schedule as attractive as it possibly can be, and has done a pretty darn good job, because there are some that don't want to play hardball with him, if you will.
Yeah, he realizes that the conference schedule lacks.
Yes.
Opportunities for quality wins, plus prime opponents to sell season tickets and give fans reason to come out to home games and buy those season tickets. So understanding that is big, and has done a good job as he could possibly do. It's even in basketball, it's not super easy to get home and homes with these big time programs. Duke doesn't play like road games, basically. They want to play neutral site games, and Cal's a very similar thing, that if it's not a made for TV neutral site game, hard to get them to agree to deals unless you're going to their place. And so that's what, and a lot of these, now he's at Arkansas, it's a little different than Kentucky. Kentucky, it's a little easier to demand those types of things than it is at Arkansas. But when you're a Duke or whatever, like, you can, because ESPN loves to have those neutral site games that they can televise, and so you can demand those types of things when you're at that type of program. Genesis Diamonds, folks, if you're thinking about buying some jewelry, need some jewelry, looking for that perfect engagement ring, whatever that perfect piece of jewelry is, whatever special occasion you might have coming up that you're looking for a great gift idea, go see the folks at Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended. Unbelievable selection from all the top designers, names like Tacori and Viraggio, but all those top name designers, they've got them all. A lot of them you won't find anywhere else in Memphis. You certainly won't find the collection of all of those designers that you find at Genesis Diamonds, plus the amazing selection of diamonds from all shapes and sizes, cuts, everything that you could possibly imagine, something for every budget, all types of jewelry, everything you can imagine. The pre-owned Rolex watches, biggest selection in the state. It's all at Genesis Diamonds. Poplar and Perkins Extended. Go check them out.
You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Simple, smooth, and every sip is easier to last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does your favorite mixers. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent out to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff, just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at TriumphAutoSales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by the Big Green Egg. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 7:46 is the time, hour 1 here on the program. Don't forget, coming up at 8:25 in studio, the Commissioner of the American, Tim Pernetti, will join us. He'll be on with us until 9 o'clock. There's a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. Now, there was a rumor out there yesterday, some reports, that the American Conference is in heavy pursuit of Air Force. And we'll pose that question, of course, to Tim. I'm not sure what he'll be able to say or how much he wants to comment on it. But a couple of things. One, why Air Force? Although Air Force, not a bad football program. Basketball, pretty much non-existent, even though they've had teams over the years. And if you pursued Air Force, that would drop the Mountain West under the threshold of teams needed for the conference. Because they started at 12. We know now that they're going to be down to 8, not next season, but the season after, once the new contract's done, starting in 26-27, as Boise and Fresno and Colorado State and San Diego State have all left or will leave. That drops an 8. You go after Air Force, you drop in the 7. So it's almost now like they're a piñata, and you're beating up the Mountain West as the Pac-12 tries to revive itself and the American tries to flourish and add, although they're on the brink of possibly losing some of their teams if the rumors about the Mountain West or about the Pac-12 are true. And then who knows, again, what will happen down the road with the ACC. So there's a lot happening here. But Air Force, I was against Army, to be honest with you. And now maybe Air Force if those reports are true.
Yeah, I am trying to bring the Commander-in-Chief's trophy all under one umbrella. I guess I don't know exactly how that would all work. With that, it's I was a little surprised to see that would be a team that they would be targeting.
Yeah, I was too. And again, we'll ask Tim about that. Now, obviously, the big news, which still is not really concrete news, it's just reports and a lot of speculation out there. What will happen in the future with this Pac-12, the resurrection of the Pac-12, which will certainly be a shell of itself, but would it be attractive enough to a media partner, several maybe media partners, for a financial boon for those joining? The four in the Mountain West seem to think so. But what about others? They have to at least add two, as everybody knows, and could possibly look for more. And it could be an attack on the American Conference. The rumors are that maybe they're after Memphis and Tulane and maybe UTSA, maybe South Florida. Interesting that in the Daily Memphian this morning, contrasting opinions from Jeff Calkins and Tim Buckley, where Calkins says, given the chance, Memphis should jump to the Pac-12. It isn't a close call. And Tim comes back with Memphis should not jump to the Pac-12. And I applaud them, both in the same outlet, work for the same publication, and have differing opinions. That's what it's all about, having differing opinions, if so. Obviously you think alike, you think alike. But this is again, Memphis has not been offered anything. We're not down that road. I had a chance to talk to Ed Scott on the trip to Tallahassee. I'm not going to tell you what he said to me, but I mean, this is something that's in the early stages. Like, what do you get out of it? It's all about how much money you can make. The person that can provide the most money has the best chance. Now, you got to take into consideration with the American, as opposed to the Pac-12, the expenditures will probably be a lot less. So that has to be taken into consideration. It can't just be, well, they're going to offer the same deal or a little bit more. It's got to be significantly more. And even with that, who knows if that's the route Ed Scott and the University of Memphis would want to go if offered. Again, there's nothing out there on the table yet, but it's very interesting how polarizing this has become already just in the rumor stage.
Yeah, again, I mean, the conference realignment, it's just a never-ending thing. And when you are, obviously, from the University of Memphis perspective, they made it quite clear that they have been looking and hoping to get into a better conference. I will maintain from what I said, I don't know how in the world the six-pack would be a better spot for Memphis. I don't see how it would be more money. I don't see how. The only way I think that the Mountain West teams are going to end up with more money out of that would be simply the fact that they get similar money to what they were getting at the Mountain West, only they only have 8 teams, so they divide it up less ways, and you end up with more money. I just don't. The TV money, they're not suddenly getting some great TV deal better than the Mountain West with the same teams because you've got Oregon State and Washington State. Oregon State and Washington State was made quite clear. Nobody really cares about them to begin with. So I just don't see how moving to that would be in any way some big financial gain for the University of Memphis.
I know at times it feels like desperation, but certainly, as you said, if it's just that and you're handed an invitation, I think you say thanks, but no thanks.
I mean, the only thing it would be, honestly, to me, would be that you would be in a better conference, like the level of play would be better, which might be a bad thing. Like in the American, you hope you can dominate the conference and become the top program in the conference. And if you're dominating the conference every year, you got that chance to get into the football playoff.
Well, we have talked about that a lot over the years, right? Do you want to be the top dog in a conference that's average, or would you rather be in a better conference competing where you probably won't be near the top, or at least it may take a while for you to be near the top, and financially it's similar? Now, obviously, Big Ten, SEC, these power conferences, the financial difference is head and shoulders above what you get at the American Conference. But as you said, this league that they're trying to resurrect is not the Pac-12. It's not Keith Jackson's Pac-12. Just let's put it that way. So even though Washington State, Oregon State, Boise State, good football programs. American has a few, certainly in Tulane. It's been very consistent. And UTSA, we'll see. It doesn't look good right now this year. But financially, if it's not going to be that beneficial, it doesn't make sense just because you have been desperate. And again, Tim's going to come in. He's the American Conference commissioner. But he's a very intelligent man. He's not naive to the situation that if, the ACC turned around and offered, Memphis would be gone. But the Pac-12 offering in what the Pac-12 is now, which is really the Pac-2 plus 4 in a couple of years, it's not the same thing.
Steve Texan says, are you factoring in that Tulane and UTSA, et cetera, may be gone from the AAC? I don't see why any team, I just don't see how the six-pack is going to be beneficial monetarily for any AAC team. They're making around $8-9 million a year right now. I don't see how they're getting more money than that out of the six-pack.
Well,
I really don't.
That's the whole thing. When we had Tim on after he was announced as the new commissioner to replace the retired Mike Oresco, he talked about all different avenues, including streaming and things of that nature, all different avenues that they're going to have to go down to try to find different revenue sources for this conference. And we will ask them about that as well. He said he will leave no stone unturned. Now, I'm sure the people that are left at the Pac-12, I don't even know if they have an office. They might be out in the street somewhere, but what's their thoughts about this? Do they feel that somehow, some way, they can get a deal with a network, that they're going to want more from teams out west, even though we know there are teams out west playing in the Big Ten or playing in the Big 12 now? But do they want more? Is there a need? Is there a want from a network, from a streaming service that wants to add college football? I don't know. Maybe something's up their sleeve. But certainly there's things up Tim Pernetti's sleeve as well that we'll find out. I mean, he's not going to give away trade secrets, but, I mean, they can't sit here and just not do anything and expect to get and not get picked apart, because they're going to get picked apart. Steve makes a good point. Somebody's going to leave. And it might be multiple teams. Because where else are they getting them unless they want to turn around and just take the rest of the Mountain West, and then it becomes the Mountain West. The Pac-12 becomes the Mountain West. It just flip-flopped like they have this year with Oregon State and Washington State playing a Mountain West schedule. It would just be a flip-flop. You're trying to take the best from the rest. That's what you're trying to do.
But again, that best from the rest has to have a reason to go.
Right.
And I might be totally wrong. Maybe some of these schools see some pot of gold at the end of that distorted rainbow. I just don't see it. I don't see how that's going to be some valuable thing to be out there. I would much rather wait around to see what happens with the ACC and see with these lawsuits and everything else. If that breaks up and there's a spot there, that'd be way better than this whatever conference.
How much
the
less?
Mountain Pack.
How much less is the Mountain West and their schools getting from the American? I mean, the difference between what the American teams are getting.
I saw they're getting like $5 or $6 million a year.
And the American gets what?
I think they're like 8 or 9.
Okay, so their guess is that they can at least jump to that, because they're not moving over without the thought that we're making more money. Why would they leave? They don't have autonomy. The Pac-12 does not have autonomy now.
And again, the to me, the path, the way they're getting more money is here we're splitting it amongst 12 of us with some of these lesser schools. So we're going to go there where if there's only 8 of us and we can get the same contract, now we're splitting it 8 ways. It's a little bit more money for us.
So you think maybe they were promised that it's only going to go to 8 because it has to go to 8. It's got to be a minimum.
I don't know. I don't know what their thinking is. I just don't. If you go to 12, why? Like like ESPN and Fox aren't blind. They go, oh, you got a new conference? Cool. We'll pay you a bunch more money. Oh, wait, no. Gosh, you guys fooled us. It's all the same teams.
Right.
You just changed the name of the conference. Boy, you guys got us. Man. Oh, if we'd only noticed that. If we would only noticed that this is actually the Mountain West Conference, who we used to pay very little money, but you guys fooled us and we doubled it. No, they're not dumb. Like, Boise State doesn't become more valuable because they play in the six-pack versus the Mountain West. It's still Boise State and San Diego. They're all the same teams.
I guess the question is how valuable.
And if Washington State and Oregon State were valuable, they would be in one of the big conferences. They were left behind for a reason.
Right. But how valuable is that name? Is that name that valuable?
No, nobody cares about the name of the conference.
Well, I don't know. They want to keep that alive, it seems like.
Well, yeah, Oregon State and Washington State want to keep it alive, yes.
There's money to start because, again, according to reports, they're going to pay the exit fees of those 4 schools.
Well, yeah, they were paid exit fees by 10 different schools.
Yes.
So, yes, they have plenty of money. They have ways to coax you in.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, it seems...
There's guys that pull up
cut and
in
dry.
vans and offer you candy. They got a way to coax you in. It doesn't say you're doing a good thing.
Right. It seems cut and dry. It seems cut and dry that there's no way that they can find this extra revenue in that conference, concocted conference, that makes it so much more of a treat for somebody like Memphis or Tulane to jump at it. But you just never know right now. This is the early stages, but time is certainly of the essence with that new contract around the corner, which is 1 more year under the current contract.
Maybe they could offer a big green egg to everybody.
That's a start.
Every coach, every player, everybody gets a big green egg. Then it would be then now you're talking. Now you're talking business. That would make it worth it, no doubt about it. Big Green Egg, best grill there is. Go to biggreenegg.com. Check out all the details about the grill itself, what you can do with it, the lifetime guarantee, all of those things that come with the Big Green Egg to make it the best grill out there.
All right, we open up hour 2 with Humdinger's Trivia, 8:25. Tim Pernetti, the commissioner of the American, joins us in studio. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no-obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't their only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for unlimited range time. Free gun rentals with purchase of ammo and members lounge access. Top Gun 2770 Whitten Road and TopGunMemphis.com. Always shoot with the best. Top Gun Memphis.
I'd rather ride a bike with my kids.
I'd rather play catch with my dog than catch pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20 pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. If you are 19 or older with certain chronic conditions like heart disease or asthma, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I'd rather race for some ice cream. Let's go.
Schedule your vaccination today at Prevnar20.com.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Traffic brought to you by 901 Eats to Go, 3135 Kirby Whitten Road in Bartlett. Pick up, DoorDash, Uber Eats, or online at 901eats.com. Eats with the Z. Good food fast.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Still dealing with some dense fog out here. It's really starting to crank up with volume now as we check it out live on 40 westbound from Germantown Parkway all the way to Sycamore View Road as traffic increases up from the south on 55 northbound, coming up through Hernando, working your way up through that section of DeSoto County all the way into South Haven. Again, just give yourself a little bit of extra time out here. Hey, don't miss the Paul Prince Party coming up September 28th at the Humane Society of Memphis, Shelby County. Take a tour, get to know some of the animals. Log on to memphishumane.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with Dave Woloshin, weekday mornings from 10 to 11.
Now, back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Don't you just love it?
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:05 the time. Hour 2 here on Sports 56 mornings, the Tuesday, September 17th, 2024 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Zach Boyd. We're in the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure. World's biggest spa sale continues at 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Currently 67. We'll get up to 87 today. We've had a lot of fog this morning. Still some patches of fog out there right now, but it will become sunny and nice for your Tuesday. Then tonight, clear skies with a low of 62 degrees. Coming up at about 8:25, the commissioner of the American, Tim Pernetti, joins us in studio. We'll have Blake Topmeyer from USA Today. That'll be coming up at 9:05. But right now, it's time for Humdinger's Trivia.
That's right. Every Tuesday, we give you a chance to win a $25 gift certificate to Humdinger's. And, of course, every Tuesday at Humdinger's is Taco Tuesday. I was over there last Tuesday, as a matter of fact, enjoying some of those delicious chicken and fish tacos, which are just $2 each all day, each and every Tuesday. Unbelievable deal that you can take advantage of. Of course, all kinds of great items on the menu. From those great tacos to their sandwiches, they got the Piri Piri Burger or maybe one of their po' boys. You can check it out, humdingersrestaurant.com. You can check out the entire menu on there. They've got the Humdinger shrimp. They've got the grilled fish options. They've got the crab cakes, one of the great appetizers, the crispy calamari. All kinds of great items for you to choose from on the menu over at Humdinger's with the great sides, the toppings on those grilled fish items as well that you can choose from. Again, humdingersrestaurant.com. Also on the website, you can get information about catering. If you've got an event you need catered, they can certainly do that and do a great job and make people very, very happy at whatever that event is. If you are the first to answer our trivia question correctly, well, then you get that $25 gift certificate to Humdinger's. And you can answer via text by texting in on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line at 901-360-8255, 360-8255. Text in those answers. If you only get one guess, and if you've won in the last 30 days, well, then you are not eligible. Here is today's question. I like this. This is a good, I like this. I want to see how fast people can come up with this. This one may not be that easy. Before Saturday's game, in which the Tigers beat Florida State, who are members, of course, of the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference, The last Tigers victory in football over an ACC opponent was against whom? 360-8255. 360-8255. Last ACC opponent that the Tigers beat before Saturday's win over Florida State. Don't have to tell me when it happened. You just got to tell me the school that it was against. Again, 360-8255, 360-8255. Text in those answers, and the first correct answer will get a $25 gift certificate to Humdinger. The other thing, too, on the whole six-pack crap, the not only obviously the travel stuff, but I can't imagine fans would want to be joining that conference and watching games that start at 9 o'clock on a weekly basis.
True.
I mean, wait, you get those 9 o'clock Friday night time slot, game ending at 1 o'clock in the morning, or even on a Saturday or whatever. I mean, it's like you're in that thing. You're playing a lot of 9 o'clock games.
But why do you have to?
Because that's the time slot that the TVs give those that the whole purpose for having them.
Yeah, but not if it's a reconfigured Pac-12 where maybe six of the teams are from the East and six are from the West.
Well, yeah, again, I don't see how they're going to possibly do that. If you're joining the Pac, which all those teams out West, you're going to be playing a lot of 9 o'clock games. You go out there to play at their place, you're probably playing at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, if you're on the road, certainly. But again, if it is a East versus West type thing, they do 12 teams. The bulk of your games are against your Eastern foes. Maybe you play two again. One's at home, one's away. You won't have a ton of those West Coast games. But the biggest concern for me would be, other than the payout, would be the other sports, the non-revenue sports and things of that nature, and those trips, the money that it costs to do those trips, it's a lot. So there's a lot to but again, Cal and Stanford, they are making good money. They did make good money in the Pac-12, so I guess money's not an object, but they're on the West Coast playing on the East Coast now, a lot of games against ACC foes. So things can get worked out. Again, money can cure all ills. The problem is, as you and I both agree, we don't see necessarily where this money is coming from. Couple of basketball notes from the college level. We talked a little bit about this, some other college in hour number one, but this is interesting. There'll be another big college matchup of an area or regional team at the Landers Center. Mississippi State will play Utah at the Landers Center in the Mid-South Showdown. That'll be coming up on November 17th. Utes used to be a very good basketball program when Rick Majerus was there, and Keith Van Horn and guys like that, but Mississippi State, Utah announced Landers Center on November 17th. Also, it was announced yesterday, the University of Memphis women's basketball non-conference schedule for the upcoming season. I can only imagine that the Memphis men's schedule should officially, we know all the teams, we know who they're playing in conference, we know the exhibition games, that it will be released here in some sort of email very, very soon. But for the Memphis women, we know that they will be a part of the St. Jude Classic on the 15th of October, where they will play South Carolina in the nightcap of the doubleheader that features the men versus North Carolina in the earlier exhibition. But the women will open up on November 4th versus Mississippi Valley State. In Alex Simmons' second season at the helm, they'll play 4 Power 4 opponents, including UT. They'll play Tennessee at FedEx Forum on December 18th. And also 3 days later, they'll play at FedEx Forum against Louisville on December 21st. So the women's schedule is out. Back to the NFL. It looks like the Chiefs are going to work out Kareem Hunt after the news yesterday of Isaiah Pacheco lost for anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. Who knows if that could end up being more. So they'll look at Kareem Hunt. Joe Mixon, who got hurt, his ankle, injured. I don't think too serious of an injury, but certainly an injury nevertheless. Injured in that Houston game against the Bears, is extremely frustrated, and he should be. for no penalty called on what appeared to be a hip drop tackle. And it's interesting. So far, early in the season, the whistle hasn't blown for, and that's going to be an emphasis this year, and the whistle hasn't really blown for what is perceived to be, at least in my opinion, these hip drop tackles. Also, we've had at least 2 games, if not 3 games from this past weekend, including last night, where a punch was thrown in the vicinity of an official, and it was never called. I mean, you got to see that. You can't have that in the game, even though they're protected and they got helmets on and shoulder pads and all that good stuff.
The hip drop thing is, that's I mean, it's not a super easy thing, I think, for officials to call. That one is, I think, going to probably cause a lot of issues just because it's determining whether he actually dropped all the way. I don't know. I don't even know exactly what their definition of exactly what clarifies it that the referees are to be looking for. But yeah, that one, it's that one. I think the hip drop could end up being a little problematic for officials.
Usually, though, officials, when they're told to emphasize something, to make sure that they understand that this is going to be the rule change or we're going to do this, they usually jump all over it. Now, there has to be things happening that would constitute a hip drop tackle, but I assume it's going on. Probably tough for some who have been used to doing that to pull back from it and stop doing it. But it just doesn't seem to be emphasized yet. A lot of whistles. And again, the punches that have been thrown, albeit helmets, shoulder pads, a lot of protection, they have not called anything. They just have not whistled. Now, I think they would have dropped the flag for the punch thrown during the Jane's Addiction concert. Now, that's a different story. Did you see that video, by the way?
I did not.
All right, Jane's Addiction, not a musical group, not a band that I've ever gone to see, mind you. But
I've always rooted for Jane to kick the Addiction. He hasn't been able to do it.
No, I think that's a problem. I think that is the big problem. So Perry, I forget his name, the lead singer, turns around, goes after Dave Navarro, the lead guitarist, and throws a punch at him during a concert. The concert ends. They're getting into it. They're scrapping. And now the rest of the tour, the United States tour, has been canceled.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, see? They would have dropped the flag right there.
For all those Jane's Addiction
officials.
fans out there.
Well, there are quite a few. Not me, though.
We do have a correct answer in our Humdingers trivia. And actually, we have a winner. There's no tie here. There were a couple of correct answers. One did get the correct answer faster than others. Again, the question was, who was the last ACC opponent that the Tigers beat before beating Florida State on Saturday? For people saying it had to be SMU, SMU wasn't in the ACC when they beat them. It's not who's in the ACC now. It's the Tigers beating an opponent, an ACC opponent. So it's not SMU. You got to go back a long, long way.
What year?
1967.
Oh, my gosh.
A lot of people came with Georgia Tech. When they beat Georgia Tech wasn't in the ACC. The previous times that they beat Florida State wasn't in the ACC. You got to go all the way. They have not played. There's not a history. They have not played a ton of ACC opponents.
Didn't they play Wake Forest? Why do I remember that?
They played Wake Forest in a bowl game in 2018.
There you go.
And they lost to them.
Yeah.
They played Duke 2 times before that. They played Duke in 2012 and 2013.
Yeah.
They lost both of those. They played North Carolina. Then before that, you got to go back to North Carolina. 1983, 1984. They lost both of those. And then before that, you go all the way back to 1967 before you find even another matchup against an ACC opponent. And in 1967, they did beat Wake Forest 42-10.
That's funny. That was my guess, but it wasn't because I thought in 1967 they played Wake Forest and beat Wake Forest.
And if you go before that, the one they beat was South Carolina, was the other ACC opponent that they beat.
Before going to the SEC.
Who they beat in 1966, South Carolina. So Wake Forest is the correct answer. And again, we do have a winner. We'll be texting our winner, letting you know how to collect your $25 gift certificate to Humdinger's.
James Gaddis Jewelers, second hour sponsor of Sports 56 Mornings. Hopefully you took advantage of their really once-in-a-lifetime sale that they had this past Saturday where everything in the store was 20 to 60% off. They still have sales. They'll still have sales in the future, but that was a great opportunity. Stop on by if you're looking for that special engagement ring. Going to pop the question this fall. James Gaddis Jewelers make sure that all their diamonds are independently graded and certified. They know there's a lot of competition, so they make sure they have a price point to suit everyone's budget. If you're looking for a beautiful watch, if you're looking for any type of ring, also bracelets and necklaces, earrings and pendants, one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. They have it for you at James Gaddis Jewelers. Layaway and financing is available. They have 2 bench jewelers ready to serve you daily, whether it be a cleaning of your ring or any of your jewelry, whether it be a resetting of your ring. Again, anything you need. You need some links taken out of a watch because your wrist is all of a sudden real skinny, or the other way, unfortunately. James Gaddis can do that. James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar, right between Mendenhall and St. Nick, and on the web at gaddisjewelers.com. When we come back, it's the commissioner of the American Conference in studio, Tim Pernetti. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Summer's heating up, and so are the savings at Choate's. We've got 3 incredible offers to make your season spectacular. First up, our Grill and Chill with Choate's Summer Special. Upgrade your HVAC system and choose between a free Yeti cooler or a Green Egg grill on select systems. Then power through any outage with Choate's generators. Be one of the first 50 customers to buy a generator and score a massive 75-inch TV or an iPad. Also, don't forget about our tankless water heater offer. Purchase a tankless water heater from Choate's and receive a premium toilet free. Don't wait. These offers are too good to last. Turn to the experts with Choate's and call 347-8086 or visit us online today for your free estimate. Now introducing Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Generators. Choate's. Let our family serve your family.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswingerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Getaway Sports Bar is kept secret in town. Open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Carter created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Come up on 6 pool tables. Close us here in town. Grab your cool stick and get you some more butter. Chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday. 10 to 6 p.m. on Megabus 1625. Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester. Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station. Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's loading up pretty good now with some volume over here on 40 westbound as you come in from Fayette County, passing 269 Chambers Chapel, Canada Road, all the way up to Sycamore View Road. Just give yourself extra time. It's heavy also on 55 northbound just before you get up into South Haven with that traffic flow coming up from the south there out of DeSoto County headed towards Memphis. Hey, don't miss the Paul Prince Party coming up September 28th at the Humane Society of Memphis in Shelby County. Take a tour, meet some of the animals. For more information, log on to memphishumane.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
To reveal the full spectrum of dazzling color.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:23 the time, hour number 2 here on Sports 56 Mornings. And we are very pleased and honored to be joined in studio by the Commissioner of the American Conference, Tim Pernetti, who made a promise to us not soon after it was announced that Tim had taken over for Michael Resco at the American. You came on our radio show via the phone, and you said, when I'm in Memphis, guys, I'm going to come in studio with you. And here you are, fulfilling your promise.
Here I am. First trip to Memphis, and honestly, I haven't even started my meetings on the campus yet. Like, I'm doing you guys first, and then we're going to get rolling on campus.
We're going to take care of all the meetings right here. We're going to ask you all those questions that you need to answer. But thank you for doing this, Tim. And I know you ended up getting in last night and made a surprise appearance over at the Ryan Silverfield Coaches Show, the radio show over at Brookhaven, and had a chance very briefly to talk to Coach.
I did. It was great to go over to the Coaches Show, and it kind of brought me back to the years I served as athletic director of my alma mater at Rutgers. I would attend the Coaches Show and the radio show, and it's just great to see. Like, that's what college sports is about. People that attend those things on Monday night to really get close and hear more from the coach. But, Ryan has very quickly emerged as, to me anyway, like he was already this, but to me, he's a tremendous leader in our conference. And when I met the football coaches at Football Media Day, it was obvious. We talked about some challenging issues, that are facing college football. And everybody's looking to Ryan, for his point of view. So couldn't be happier about the success that Memphis is having out of the gate, and should be an interesting stretch the rest of the season in the conference.
So for you, as you're getting this thing started, so right now, are you kind of traveling around to all the different cities to meet with the various schools? And is that kind of the plan right now?
Yeah, so when you get the job in the summer, I was chomping at the bit. I'm like, all right, I'm going to be at every school before Football Media Day. I'm going to knock these things out. And then I forgot that the campuses go a little quiet in the summer. And it gave me the opportunity to, which was good because a lot of the visits happen a little later in the summer, and yes, I am getting through all of them and almost there, but it did give me the opportunity to focus on a lot of new opportunities that we've talked about, publicly on the commercial side, and sort of how we remodel and modernize our business. The visits have been great. I was at East Carolina yesterday. I'm having a hard time remembering where I was before that, but the good news about this conference is, it's a pioneering brand. People forget this conference didn't exist 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's built on the foundation of great people. And what I love, even at times like this, where there's all this chatter around the industry, people are being transparent with each other and collaborating. Like, what we decide to do as a conference in the future will be a collaborative decision on behalf of everyone that's in the conference.
And let me remind people, and I'm sure you'll talk about this, but this was scheduled. Because there are people right now, the conspiracy theorists, that believe that all of a sudden, here's Memphis being rumored to possibly be looking at another conference, and then all of a sudden they beat Florida State. They're making national news. Here comes the commissioner, Tim Pernetti. Let me go visit them in Memphis. But this was on the books. In fact, I could tell you folks that our good friend Chuck Sullivan, who helps us all the time setting up Michael Resco in the pass and Tim now, that he contacted me a while ago. So this was in the plans.
Yeah, it was. It was in the plans, and there are others that are in my near future plan. But I don't think anybody would say the timing is terrible.
No, not at all.
Given everything that's happening.
We love having you on today.
Yeah, it's also a great opportunity for me. At times like this, so much is going on. Everybody has a point of view. Everybody has, or say they have information. And I always say the same thing. There is no substitute for looking people in the eye and having the conversation. And I've always been big on in person. So I think the timing, even though it was pre-planned, works out really well because it's just another opportunity to have more dialogue here at Memphis and in other places about what's going on around our conference. Because the reality is there are great opportunities for our conference in all of this as well, which people are seemingly, talking about as well.
And that's the thing from your perspective as this, now that you've been in the job for a little while. Like, what's your feeling when it is constantly talked about as like you're the feeder conference? Everybody's looking at, they might target these American schools. They might target these American schools. And it's never really anything other than it seems like everybody's trying to pick apart the American.
So the conference is built on certain things that are very attractive assets. It's built on, if you're around and you've seen this, and you see it up close, right? You're on the sideline at Memphis at the football games. It's built on toughness. It's built on grit. It's built on characteristics that inspire people. Even the word American, we've got appeal in a more broad manner. As it relates to what the perception is, we build strong programs in the American Athletic Conference. That is a reality. And we have the same positive right now that had been happening in the past, which is we have strong programs in the conference. And everybody knows that, understands that. Everybody is pushing each other to invest more in that so that we can compete at even a higher level. Naturally, that's something that everybody will have a point of view on. But, we're proud of what the American stands for. And I think in a lot of ways that, that feeds into all the narrative that's happening around us right now.
So a couple of years ago, well before you took the job, Houston, UCF, and who am I missing? Cincinnati leave. Last year, it's SMU. They take off for the ACC. So my question to you is, how pivotal is Memphis to this conference?
Well, I would say that every member, people started with me when I got the job and said, well, here's the membership, and then we have some new members. And I was like, there are no new members. If you're either a member of this conference or you're not a member of this conference. So what I'd say is everybody is a pivotal member of the conference. As it relates to Memphis specifically, they are a great example. Listen to this, and look, this is the part to focus on. Memphis is a great example of what can happen in this conference. When they entered the conference, they were one of the most, I don't say worse, but one of the most challenged football programs in America. And if you look at what they've done and the conference championships that they've won and playing in premier bowl games, if you look at what's been built inside the American, they are a shining example of what's possible. So we're proud of everything Memphis has done. I think they have tremendous momentum, and that's good for our entire league. One way to describe it too is I'm always on my phone on the weekend, and I was traveling around and I was not paying attention too well to the game I was at because I'm looking at the Florida State-Memphis score. And the minute the game was over, I text Ed and I text Ryan separately, just awesome. Congratulations, great win, safe trip home. They both wrote the same exact thing to me. Great for the conference. And that really stuck with me, that you have that vibe of collaboration, in it together, our social media campaign of us versus them during the non-conference. There is a vibe in this conference that we're sticking together and moving the thing forward as one. But those responses alone, I think, tell you everything you need to know about how we feel about Memphis and how they feel about being in the American.
With that, in this first year of the 12-team playoff, knowing that one of those teams, one of that group of 5 teams is getting in, and now Memphis, with that win, still undefeated, has that track. Mm-hmm. How important is that to be, if you can secure that spot in the first ever 12-team playoff, to be that team from the group of 5 getting that spot?
Access to the CFP is paramount. It's hugely important, and I've said this over and over again. And for our conference, it would be huge. And also for our conference, we're not unfamiliar with that. Mm-hmm. The American has proven time after time in the postseason to have been the representative from our colleague group of conferences to compete in the postseason, whether it's, in the CFP, in the New Year's Six. History speaks for itself. There are folks that will deal with fantasy, and then there are facts, and the facts are the facts. So what I love about our conference and meeting with football coaches and ADs is we expect to be there. And I hate to sound like a coach right now, but I'm going to, but we just got to take them one at a time from here on out.
All right, let's talk a little bit about, and I know it's something that really you can't get too much into it because a lot of it is just speculation. But obviously over the last, 24, 48, 72 hours, a little bit more than that, the rumors are fast and furious. First of all, something that we do know is that the Pac-12 is trying to resurrect itself. And we know that at least 4 schools from the Mountain West are going to be joining them to start the 26-27 season. Before I ask you about, again, speculation, there's limited things you could say. What about the Pac-12 trying to almost do a come from the dead here and survive and be prominent again, or at least try to?
So I think it's hard for me to speak about what their plans are because, obviously it's a lot of confidentiality and there's a lot of speculation out what they'll do next. But, the reality is I think when conference expansion again moved the entire industry, 18-ish or 18 months ago, 2 years ago, there were institutions that were not part of that were exploring what their options were. And I think they explored everything that was out there. And as it looks at the future now, as they look at the future, they are going to make an effort to reconstitute their conference and be back in the conversation. So what does that mean for us? Like, I don't get into things I don't control. But what we do control are all the things that we're doing in our existing conference. And what might they do next? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows outside of the people sitting in that room. We have some information that suggests what it will be. But like you said, and I appreciate you guys respecting that, like speculation is no good for anybody right now, especially not for fans. It gives them anxiety and they lose sleep and what's going to happen next. But as it relates to what we do control, look here, like our focus is on the things that we have rolling and the things we're getting close to turning the key on. From the first day, I've talked about, I'm not out there talking about private capital partners and conference naming rights and creative commercial investments and perhaps a jersey patch that could be across every school, every sport where the revenue flows directly to students for NIL. We're not talking about that stuff because it's fun to talk about. This is where the puck is going. So what we're doing is reminding our institutions of all those things. When I got interviewed by our presidents, I pitched them some scenarios that were uncommon to college athletics, and they bought into that. And buying into that doesn't mean you do it tomorrow, but buying into it means you're buying into it, you stay committed for the long haul to change the entire industry. So whatever those opportunities are that we turn over, and we will turn some of them over, it will create an innovative feeling in the conference. Like, to me, if we're doing a good job at the American, we'll be sitting here in a few years talking about how we've led the way for innovation within collegiate athletics.
So with the six-pack or whatever you want to call it, does it even, like, do you get concerned, or do you feel like where you are positioned that they don't really matter to you?
Well, I think everybody matters. I don't dismiss anything that's going on around us, because remember, we have to all work together to move the industry forward. I'll be at the CFP meetings next week and the CCA meetings next week in Chicago, where the FBS commissioners are in a room talking about the 12-team model. We're talking about the future. We're talking about, getting into the details of future sites. Like, these are people that, while it appears on the outside there's purely competition, of course we all compete with each other, but we also are responsible for moving the enterprise forward productively. And it's time to talk about change. I think in general, collegiate athletics has had, you guys know this from being around it, has had a real resistance to talking about change. And now more than ever, to me, talking about it is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you're going to do it.
Yeah.
But talking about it is important. And as it relates to us, we're talking about it inside the four walls of our conference. We've got like-minded institutions. People want to take risk. They have the guts for it. And it gives us an opportunity to be a first mover on some of these things and separate ourselves. But the reality of all this is we're all going to be in a room together next week, the commissioners working together on moving the industry forward. And the best case scenario is that everybody in that commissioner's room remembers that, which is we have a collective responsibility here as well.
That's what's weird.
Leave the weapons at the door, by the way. Don't bring them in.
That's what's always so weird.
I don't pack when I go to those meetings, all right?
Because we had the famous alliance a few years ago between the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, and we saw it. Like, it's so weird that you're in that room working together when it seems like behind the scenes there's constantly stuff going on of trying to backstab each other.
It's just an odd dynamic. And I don't know I would go to that extreme. It's an odd dynamic because in collegiate athletics, and you guys probably know this feeling too, everybody's competitive.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to thrive. Everybody wants to beat the other guy.
And some just want to survive.
Right. And there's others that are hanging on. But you have that competition factor, but then that you're all competing with a group of people, but the next day you are the leadership of collegiate athletics. And the responsibility that Charlie Baker at the NCAA has and all the commissioners in that room have, it's heavy. Like when I took this job, I really felt the weight of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to remind each other that, sure, we're going to compete. And at the same time, there are some things we need to work on together to move the enterprise forward.
Tim Pernetti, the commissioner of the American, joining us in studio here on Sports 56 Mornings. Okay, I think I know how you'll answer this, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. One thing is the Pac-12, which you don't have information on, but there is the rumor out there that you are pursuing Air Force. What can you tell us about the possibility of adding in the American?
So I won't speculate on, some of these things because, again, I just don't think it's good for anybody that's involved.
Okay.
What I can tell you is I've really been encouraged, and I had some of these conversations while I was still in the interview process, really been encouraged by the amount of inbound that the conference has received with interest on being part of the American. And I'm not talking about in the last 2 weeks. I'm talking about for the last 4.5 months. So that's really encouraging, and I think speaks very, very clearly to what we are and what we've built and who the institutions are. So the inbound has been encouraging, and I think at times like this, there will be opportunities for us.
Do you think that more teams always equates to more money for the conference? If you have more teams, is it more attractive to a media package? How does that work? Because, again, with speculation going out there about what maybe the Pac-12 may do, maybe just go to the minimum 8, maybe go to 12. What, again, would be more attractive to a conference? I guess it's who it is we're talking about, right?
We have a great room in the conference, athletic directors, presidents. We have this conversation all the time. As we look at the future and as we look at growth, it needs to be additive as it relates to value. Like, you don't expand just to expand.
Mm-hmm.
So my own experience from taking Rutgers into the Big Ten is a great example of that. The Big Ten network wasn't being televised on basic cable in New York, and I knew that we could deliver that. And we convinced the Big Ten that all that value would follow, and it did. It's just an example of what we talk about. The value has to be additive. The institutions have to be like-minded. And we also need to bring something new to the table for our media partners. The one thing that I don't think, this is really important, the one thing that can't be underestimated right now is our relationship with ESPN. The American has ubiquitous distribution platforms across ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
Our institutions, I'm going around, they've invested in facilities to produce more content for ESPN+. I don't think there's anybody out there that's delivering more to ESPN than we are. And like it or not, kids want to play on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing. It's kind of like, what do you want to wear? You want to wear Nike? You want to wear Under Armour? You want to wear Adidas? And I worked with Under Armour, is a tremendous brand. I worked with them at IMG Academy. But kids will have their point of view on that. ESPN is a hugely important relationship for us. And in exchange, I need to bring them more value when we look at growing the conference. So that is strictly in focus. It's let's look at what's possible. Where can we bring more like-minded people in? And how do we add value to our media partners? Is it new time zones? Is it, windows that we can't currently offer on certain days, certain times? We have to bring them value. The networks it's a business. They're not just there writing checks for more money because that's what you feel like that day. You need to bring them value.
Makes sense.
When we talk about the TV networks, we talk about all of this stuff, it's always, the whole thing is, it's football, football, football. How much do the other sports matter, if at all, when all of this stuff is unfolding?
Every sport matters. It'll be in the eye of the beholder, but I would tell you from a commissioner's seat, every sport matters. The industry started with a mission of education through sport. I'm married to a 30 years, my wife, I met her at Rutgers. She played lacrosse. Yeah, thank you. She played lacrosse. My daughter's going to play Division III lacrosse. My son played Division III basketball. it got me up close to like what the experience is beyond football. So here's the reality. Football is the engine in the car. It gives universities and athletic departments the ability to generate revenue to support all of their programs. And why is it more valuable? Scarcity. There's just not a lot of it. Right? Basketball, there's more product. Football is very, very scarce. And with the expansion of the postseason, it makes every regular season game so important. And don't think that wasn't the psychology behind the CFP. The psychology is, how do we make, for the networks and everybody's in, how do we make the regular season more relevant? How do we encourage institutions to schedule marquee non-conference games that get national television? This is all part of the things that they put into the blender, but all the sports are important. Look at Memphis. Basketball, my first memory, I told a donor last night at the radio show. He's like, how much do you know about Memphis? He was challenging me. And I said, a lot. He said, first memory of Memphis. You can't think too long. I said, Keith Lee, Memphis State, Final Four. And I think he was a little bit surprised by it. But basketball has been a foundational piece of athletics here. But then you look at the flip side, like we're talking about football and basketball. You have the 7th-ranked women's soccer team in the country, right? A likely contender for the national championship. You're not going to tell those kids this is not important. It's as important to them as anyone. They're getting an opportunity to do something because of the model that was created 100 years ago.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back with much more with Commissioner Tim Pernetti joining us here in studio.
Black Tie Moving, folks. If you've got a move coming up, whether it's a new home, new office, whatever, and whatever you're moving, wherever you're moving, you want professionals to do that for you. Talk to the folks at Black Tie, 316-6196. That's the phone number, 316-6196. Give them a call. They'll work with you, coming up with a plan for your move, fitting your needs and fitting your budget as well. It's very, very important. You want to make sure that they do really as much or as little as you need them to do, but also want to make sure it fits your budget. They're going to work with you to make sure it fits both. Talk to the folks at Black Tie, 316-6196, or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis.
More with the Commissioner when we return. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Need good food fast? You need 901 Eats to Go in Bartlett. Meat in 2 sides, chicken wings and tenders, cheeseburger, Philly cheesesteak, even catfish, plus sides and drinks. 901 Eats to Go has everything you want when you want it at prices you can afford. Call 901-417-8232. Pick up, DoorDash, Uber Eats, or online at 901eats.com. That's Eats with a Z. Delicious and convenient. 901 Eats to Go. 3135 Kirby Wooden Road in Bartlett. Good food fast.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa set. It's happening right now. You can save thousands on in-stock hot tubs that are ready to be delivered. Family Leisure has spas that start at just $28.99. You know those cold plunges? You can get one for yourself starting at $39.99. Or how about swim spas? They start at $17,499. Plus, Family Leisure has set up special financing just for this event. Have you been sitting on the fence about an above-ground pool? Get off that fence and get to Family Leisure to take advantage of huge discounts on all their in-stock above-ground pools. And if you need some patio furniture, it's all priced to move out now. It's not too late to have some summer fun, courtesy of Family Leisure. But you better hurry up. The world's biggest spa sale might go on forever. Family Leisure. Witten Road at I-40. Family and fun come together.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342.
There's no place like home, Town Village.
Now, back to Sports 56 Mornings.
Isn't it a lovely morning?
On Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. 8:47 is the time. We got about 10 more minutes with the commissioner, Tim Pernetti, joining us here on the program, the commissioner from the American Conference in town, to say hello to the folks over at the University of Memphis before we get back into some serious stuff. We were talking pork roll during the break. Yes.
You mean Taylor Ham?
No, pork roll during the break. He's from North Jersey. I'm from South Jersey. But one thing we can definitely agree on, because people hear me talking about it all the time, is if you want a cheesesteak in that area of the world, do not go to Philly, go to South Jersey, have a real cheesesteak.
Yeah, there's no comparison. I think that Philly people don't want to hear this, but and this is my personal opinion, but I've done the tour and done all the cheesesteaks in Philly, but South Jersey's got a leg up, and I don't give South Jersey many compliments as a North Jersey guy, but they've got a leg up. What's your favorite spot?
White House and Sacco's.
White House,
they're the best.
I think it blows Philadelphia away. Philadelphia, too, is it's great. It's got a little commercial in the cheesesteak section there.
Yes.
So it's a little bit different than it used to be.
Slap that cheese whiz
Here's the thing.
on.
Let's talk about things that matter in Memphis. You're traveling around the conference, all these places.
Mm-hmm.
You were just in Carolina.
Yeah.
You got to go to Texas. You're in Memphis. Mm-hmm. What's the barbecue?
I was going to get you in trouble here.
See, you're going to all the spots, so you can compare the barbecue.
So last night I rolled in, went straight to the coach's show, and then I was pretty much on the phone until I went to sleep. So I didn't really get a chance to have a proper dinner. But there are a couple, I would say that I remember from my trips to Memphis that I really liked a lot. Cozy was one.
Mm-hmm.
Elwood was another. And I had a little debate going on with some of the writers at the radio show. Like, well, I like Cozy. I like Elwood. I said, well, I'm going to go retry these places, and I will give you the commissioner's selection on what we think the best one is.
That's nice, right?
Yeah. But
That's
if you
good
guys have a
promotion for
recommendation, too, I'm a tourist flying blind.
There's so many good ones. I promote Corky's. We have Central Barbecue on this show as well as a sponsor. We have Rendezvous. We have, what's the one out in Germantown? Germantown Commissary. You can't go wrong.
No,
you cannot.
You got Memphis barbecue, you got Texas barbecue, you got that Carolina barbecue with their weird sauce.
Memphis, I will say this, and I am a resident of Texas now.
Yes.
But I think Memphis wrote the book on barbecue.
There we go.
It's pork compared to beef. All right. Have you had a chance to meet and talk to Ed Scott yet?
So Ed Scott and I have talked plenty. Meeting in person for the first time today. I'll meet him a little bit later this morning. But I spoke to Ed right away when he was announced as athletic director at Memphis. And there's been a couple. Justin Thomas at Tulsa, the new athletic director there, Ed Scott at Memphis. We are continuing to add high-level talent to our AD room. And not just talented, experienced people, but progressive thinkers. And I think that's what the most important thing is. What I like about Ed is his style. I'm a little bit like this. Like, he's in your face, he's direct, he is transparent.
Another Northeast guy.
That's just thing. It's my style. Like, people make fun of us from the Northeast, but you're never going to leave a room and not know where you stand.
Right.
So I think he's been a great addition. I know he has a lot of work ahead of him, and whenever you take a job like that, it's a fire hose for at least 12 months. The success in football has to be helping, his entree into the department.
Mm-hmm.
And I also know that he is serious about success at Memphis. And that's the type of institutions we have in this conference. People are invested and serious about success and proud of the group that they're part of.
So, assuming that this whole settlement does get all figured out, revenue sharing is that big thing that's out there. From a conference perspective, how much will the conference be kind of involved? How will that work as far as the number and how much schools are doing and the conference's role in that?
So the conference, I think a lot of people wonder, what is the conference office's role in a lot of these matters? And our role is not only to run the business, service the institutions, but also make recommendations on how we proceed in the future that we think, and from my standpoint, that we think are progressive and continue the trajectory we're on, which is we have a great group of institutions. They're like-minded. They're serious about the balance between academics and athletics, and they're invested. So we want to continue to separate ourselves. Like when you read articles about what's going on at the Pac-12, and they say things like, they're working to get on par with the American. I take that as a tremendous compliment. We're proud of that. But with revenue sharing, I think it's an opportunity for us to, and we've talked about this already with the membership, to get everybody to a minimum level of investment. Like there are a bucket of new benefits that you can now provide. Well, you can provide once the settlement is approved.
Yes,
it's not yet. But if it's approved, there'll be more benefits that you can invest in and provide than ever before. Our sense is we want to continue to separate ourselves. We'll set a minimum level of investment that everyone in this conference should be required to spend. What they spend it on, I think we give everybody the flexibility to do what works for them. But this concept of minimum investment has really resonated across the conference. And then beyond the minimum investment, if an institution has the ability to do more, then they have the ability to do that. Mm-hmm. But at some point, everybody's got to get in at a certain place where we send the message that we're serious about experience for student athletes. And then from there, it's all upside.
So it's basically like from the NBA perspective, like the salary cap. Like there's a minimum thing. Just be here. Now, how much you want to go above that, that's up to you.
Right. So it's not a cap.
Yeah.
It's a floor.
Yeah.
Right. We all have to be at a certain place. And then beyond that, I think some institutions will have more resources and ability than others. But if we're all invested at a certain level, it's a very clear indicator that we are not like everybody else.
The college football playoff, now a 12-team playoff, has a 2-year contract. Mm-hmm. This year, next year, and then a new contract will have to be agreed upon. Do you see it being any different from 2026 on? Do you still believe it'll be a 12-team playoff? Do you still believe that the so-called group of 5, could be group of 6, will still have a seat at the table?
The future of the playoff will be decided, but not right now. And what I think is smart is everyone, the narrative around the commissioners is, well, what is it going to look like in 2 years? And we're all sitting there saying, let's take this 12-team thing out for a spin and see what it looks like. Because remember, first year we're having on-campus games. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of new elements to this that have not been tried before. So what we're going to do is we're going to get through this cycle. We'll naturally be talking about it, but get through this cycle so we have real information to say, okay, here's how it played out. Here are the things we need to address before we start to talk about what does it look like? Does it get larger? Is it a different format? How does the first round, second round, third round work? What are the bowl tie-ins? We have to get through a cycle first to figure all that out.
It's just so quick a turnaround, though, because the contract's only 2 years.
It is. It's a quick turnaround. The good news, again, I talk about the value of ESPN for the American. ESPN has been a great partner in the college football playoff as well. And all of these discussions happen collaboratively about what the future looks like. Because, again, it's like conversations about expanding the NCAA tournament. If there's more value to be captured by doing that, then everybody needs to have a serious conversation about it.
Right.
If it's just going to get bigger or to create additional slots for some conferences over others, like I'm not for that. I don't think a lot of commissioners are for that.
The beyond the playoff, the bowl tie-ins that you currently have as a conference, you feel good about those? And when those deals come up, do you feel kind of good of where you are as far as that is concerned?
We have great bowl partners in this conference, and bowl partners that have been with the conference since the conference became a conference. And you can't underestimate that. And at the same time, as the cycle changes, we will have the ability to look at the entire landscape. And I believe, based on performance in the past, we will have options as we look at the bowl slate in the future. But the partners we've had are great. They want to continue to be in business with the American. And then beyond that, we'll have other opportunities as well. So, these cycles are challenging, right? Because you have to make scientific choices about where you'll play. But relationships are hugely important in our conference.
Final thing for you. Conference basketball tournament has been pretty much steady here recently in Texas. Mm-hmm. Is there a chance that'll be moved around to cities that would put in bids for it, or is it going to stay in Texas?
We're evaluating the conference tournament. We will be in Fort Worth this year. We have a great partnership with Dickies Arena. Matt Homan and the team there does a great job. It is a relationship that was in place before I got there. And we're looking at everything. Location, should the men's and women's tournaments be in the same place at the same time? Mm-hmm. Should the entire membership of the conference be part of the tournament? And by the way, everybody listening, don't panic. I'm not saying we're going to change anything, but we need to talk about everything, because the one thing I'd tell you about the conference tournament is, or any American championship, is it has to be a great atmosphere and a great experience for kids. Like, a championship has to feel like a championship. And that's our focus. Like, business side, as you guys know, there's a business side, but putting the business aside,
right?
Like, I'm willing to invest in order to create a great experience for kids, because that's what I remember from my own experience as a student athlete. You want big game, championship, atmosphere, people. It's got to feel big, and that's our goal.
And guess what? You're a man of your word.
I'm here.
You said you'd be here
Physically.
in
We
studio.
took a picture, too, so you guys are going to prove it.
We got proof. We will put that out there on social media. How long are you here, just for the day and then getting out tonight?
Yeah, I'm here today. I got to be back in Dallas tomorrow, as I have some folks coming in and meetings downstairs in our building. We're actually in the same building with the College Football Playoff, so we're spending a lot of time with that.
That's very convenient.
We are. Listen. If we got an extra bit out of it, I'd really love the arrangement. But no. But listen, I tell you about Rich Clark, the new head of the CFP, is a tremendous leader, and he has already brought something different to the room that has got everybody excited.
Hey, Tim, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Really appreciate it. That's the Commissioner of the American Conference, Tim Pernetti. Pinnacle Roofing and Restoration for all your roofing and home repair needs. It's a simple call away. Just dial up Brandon McCullough. He's the owner of this locally owned company, 901-438-5084, or go online to newroofmemphis.com. They offer financing, different plans and options to choose from, including a 6, 12, or 18-month same-as cash option. They'll work with your insurance company or out of pocket, whatever it takes. And they do residential and commercial roofing. So business owners, property managers, obviously homeowners. If you have a leak or any other roofing issue, call Brandon today. They'll come out and do a free roof inspection. They're licensed, bonded, and insured, and a member of the Better Business Bureau. Get a 5-year labor warranty on the purchase of a new roof. All their work satisfaction guaranteed. That includes work around the home, like carpentry work, exterior painting. They can replace gutters, put up siding and fencing, rotten wood repair. Brandon's a certified shingle installer, so if you got some shingles down, he can take care of that for you. Pinnacle Roofing and Restoration for all your roofing and home repair needs. Again, locally owned and operated company. Call Brandon. Tell him you heard it here on Sports 56 Mornings, 901-438-5084, or online at newroofmemphis.com. When we come back, we open up hour number 3 with our friend Blake Topmeyer from USA Today. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Summer may be over, but yard work, it goes on. Don't worry, Colonial Hardware makes it easy for you. Colonial Hardware has all the lawn and garden tools you need from the best brands in the business. Ferris, Snapper, Husqvarna, Toro, Echo, Shindaiwa, and Billigo. Servicing most brands of lawn equipment, Colonial's master service techs will keep you going year-round. Colonial Hardware, family-owned and operated, and serving you for nearly 50 years. Next to Mass Pro and Lincoln at Sycamore View, and online at colonialhardwareinc.com.
Hey folks, grab old Penelope and saddle up for the 35th annual Western Trading Days here at Sunrise Buick GMC at Wolf Chase. There's a new sheriff in town, and we're slashing prices on over 600 new Buicks and GMC models. You'll get big rebates, huge discounts, and a low APR financing. Get top dollar for your old wagon when you trade in for a new buggy, and financing for just about everyone. Divorce, repo, slow pay, it's all okay at Sunrise. The #1 volume Buick GMC dealership in Memphis, 4 years running. Call, click, or come on into the good-looking store in Bartlett. We make it fun to buy a car.
Credit based on 20 through 23 new vehicle sales data.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsofMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Quirky's Barbecue in Cordova.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Still working with a couple of accidents out here in the last 15, 20 minutes. It remains heavy with that traffic volume on 40 westbound traveling between Germantown Parkway and Whitten Road here up by Sycamore View Road. You got all that traffic coming in from Fayette County now on 40 coming westbound into Shelby County. Still busy but moving for the most part. Coming up from the south on 55 northbound up through South Haven. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full service family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. Go by and see them today. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. And once again, our Greg Gaston and Eli Support.
Welcome back, everybody. 9:02 is the time. Great to have Commissioner Tim Pernetti on with us in studio. Blake Topmeyer is going to join us in just a moment. Hour 3, Sports 56 mornings. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Zach Boyd with you from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road. That is just north of I-40. Currently 71 degrees. It'll get up to 87 today. We had fog this morning, but the sun is out, and it's going to be a nice day and a beautiful evening. 62 degrees, clear skies tonight for your low. 62, I'll take that any day of the week. Jenkins Floors and More, Hour 3, sponsor of our program. I'll take them every single time. They just are good at what they do, and the knowledge from the Jenkins family. If it's flooring and carpeting you need to head down and see them at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. You can call them at 662-469-9350. They're open Monday through Saturday. Again, they specialize in flooring and carpeting, and they will come to you, give you a free estimate, show you all the samples, show you what it's all about. And if you want to go with Jenkins Floors and More, they will have the job done for you in less than 2 weeks. That's the way they operate. Now, for all you folks out there who do it yourselves, if you're a contractor, just a simple homeowner, why not buy it at a discount, right? They sell it wholesale, get great material, and do it yourself with the help of Jenkins Floors and More. They also have a discount for all military and first responders. That's 10% off. And for Sports 56 listeners, ask about your family discount. So go visit them in Horn Lake at 2356 Goodman Road. They also have stores in Cleveland, Mississippi, and in Little Rock, or call them at 662-469-9350. It's Jenkins Floors and More.
Got a message on Facebook from Craig. He says, I would love to be in the Pac-12. We travel now to East Carolina, USF, not exactly in the backyard. Better than the American Conference for sure.
Well, they're just looking at different destinations or for travel?
I mean, yeah, you travel to, you could say South Florida, East Carolina, but you also have a lot. You do have some shorter trips. And again, now if they added some other teams over this direction, it would be one thing. But when you're talking about, if it's, say they only go to 8 and you're all of the other teams are out west, again, you're going to be playing a lot of 9 o'clock games, and it's a lot of every trip becomes long. You don't get the trip to New Orleans. You don't get any short trips. It's all long trips. And so again, my big thing is I just don't see how it would possibly be more money.
Well, you
certainly not more money at all, let alone substantially more money to make it worth it. I would much rather wait and see what happens with the ACC versus that.
You might get the trip to Tulane, depending on whether or not you both left and went to the Big 12 or the Pac-12. But I completely understand where Kamish is coming from. He couldn't talk really specifically about that. He'll be talking with Ed Scott and officials over at the University of Memphis. Again, there's been no offer that we know of to join the league. We don't know what the next moves are. It's interesting. Tim said that, there's a few things that we know, but certainly not going to share. But other things we don't know, and we're not going to sit here and speculate. I don't know. You don't know. Most, if not all media doesn't know whether or not they're going to stick with just adding the 2 or going to add more than just the 2. You have to get to 8, so they're going to have to add 2. Now, here's the thing. And again, Tim would not speculate on whether or not they would add teams. If Memphis, according to reports, truly went after Air Force and got Air Force, that knocks the Mountain West below the line. they would have to add another just to stay alive. It would drop them from 8 to 7 because they've lost 4 already starting in 2 years. Well, how about if the Pac-12 goes back and pilfers once again from the Mountain West? That puts them down several teams. And where are they getting those teams from? So they would be in a dire situation. Right now, they can survive at 8. But more than likely, there's going to be more movement. And I would assume a team or two from the Mountain West would be involved. I think UNLV is likely. Now, why wouldn't they have gone after more than 4 to begin with? I don't know. When you need 6, the only thought is, and I think this is why Memphis and Tulane and UTSA and some others and their names have popped up on betting boards and things of that nature, is because they are looking to go across the country. They're not looking to just stay in the Pacific or Mountain time zone. They're looking to become like some of these other conferences, coast to coast. So we'll see where that goes. But again, if I'm Ed Scott and the powers that be at the University of Memphis, I mean, you got to sit there in black and white and show me what you're going to do. You can't just tell me what you hope to do or what you think you could do. I don't want to hear speculation. I need numbers. I need realistic numbers of why it makes sense for me to leave. And I know there's people out there that are just chomping at the bit for Memphis to get out of the conference. American's been a solid conference, but you want to go to a power conference. This would not be a power conference. Could it be in the future? I don't think so. I think that ship has sailed. So I don't know. And again, there's people that, no, you hold out for the ACC. What's going to happen with the ACC, with the lawsuits going on with Florida State and with Clemson and others? I have no idea. I mean, these are things that guys like Blake Topmeyer can probably talk about here, who's going to join us in a second. But it's not always greener on the other side. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously when the conference isn't even completely formed and it doesn't have enough teams to be an actual conference. There's a lot of unknowns involved.
Yeah, and I think we'll obviously learn more as the weeks and the months progress. Well, right now, it is time to talk to Blake Topmeyer, SEC columnist for USA Today Network. He joins us every other Tuesday to talk not only SEC football, but college football around the country. You can follow him on Twitter at @BTopmeyer. Hey, Blake.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Going well. We just had the commissioner from the American, Tim Pernetti, on the program, and I know it's still certainly in the infancy stages, although the rumors are out there, the speculation is out there about what the big or the Pac-12's next move is. We do know, obviously, that they're going to bring at least the 4 in. We know they got to get at least 2 more for a minimum of 8. But what do you think, other than what's out there with the rumors, makes sense for the Pac-12 and would make sense for any school thinking about joining the new revised Pac-12?
Yeah, I think the money talks, right? I think if schools feel like the television revenue from the Pac-12 would be, the television revenue distribution would be more than their current conference is distributing, I think schools would listen. Doesn't mean they would jump at it, but if the Pac-12 was interested and they thought, a particular school thought more money was at the end of the line, at the end of the rainbow, I think that gets you to listen. I think what's difficult is for a school that might be being courted is you don't know exactly what the television distribution is going to be. I mean, if you were to, say, join the SEC tomorrow, say Greg Sankey wanted to go from 16 to 17 teams, they have a television deal in place. You would know what the television distribution would be. That's not the case right now with the Pac-12 because they're not a current league, right? And they don't have a deal. And so while we can guess what sort of television deal they might be able to command on the market, we don't know. So that's sort of, I think, what's in play here. From the Pac-12's perspective, I think, and it's just some speculation, but I think if they wanted if they wanted more teams from the Mountain West than the 4 that they already snagged, my question would be, why didn't they already wrap them up? Why didn't they already get them? So that makes me think that they are looking beyond the Mountain West for their next editions, which would lead me to believe that Memphis would be one of the teams on the Pac-12's list of consideration. Because I think when you look outside the Mountain West at other Group of 5 teams, the Pac-12 could add. I know Memphis Pacific 12 doesn't make a lot of sense, right? But we've seen in realignment, that ship has sailed. So, yeah, I would think Memphis would be near the top of the wish list for the Pac-12. Whether it makes sense for Memphis or not, that's hard to answer.
Are you, by the way, on that, a little surprised that UNLV wouldn't have been? It seems like every sports entity in the world wants to be in Vegas now.
Yeah.
Like that. And UNLV is good right now. Like, why wouldn't they not be in that initial group?
That is surprising to me, because I do think UNLV should be, you would think, very appealing to the Pac-12's reboot. Yes. I've read the reports, as I'm sure you guys have too, that apparently UNLV is sort of tied at the hip a little bit with Nevada, and because of the state politics there, evidently the UNLV would have some hurdles in leaving the University of Nevada behind and joining a different conference. According to the reporting that's out there, state politicians would prefer that those schools stay together, which in the old days, as you guys know, like that happened all the time. Yes. There were a lot of states that linked schools together. You had it in Virginia with Virginia Tech. Even Texas and Texas A&M at one point, going back far enough, were kind of linked. So that is kind of an old-timey thing. Maybe that is still a hurdle in place for UNLV, because I would think that UNLV would have been very attractive to the Pac-12, so it kind of defies logic that they would have been among this initial batch of teams. Now, alternatively, I guess it's possible that maybe UNLV is just not that interested. Maybe UNLV says, we don't really see the Pac-12 as that much of an upgrade from their current situation, or UNLV is holding out for, say, the Big 12, which would be a better landing spot. It's one step up higher on the food chain than the Pac-12. Although, I think if the Big 12 wanted them, they'd probably be in the Big 12 right now. But yes, I am a little bit surprised that UNLV would be kind of left out in the cold.
Blake Topmeyer joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. Of course, the SEC columnist extraordinaire for the USA Today Network. You can follow him on Twitter at @BTopmeyer. So you wrote after the weekend's games about poor Florida and even poor Billy Napier. You said when, not if, Florida fires Billy Napier, you put together a list of 7 candidates, but you added 2 more. You added an 8th and a 9th. One happened to be one Ryan Silverfield. First of all, your thoughts on why the nail is in the coffin for Napier, and then about those candidates and Ryan Silverfield's name.
Yeah, with Napier, I think the only reason to keep him would be the buyout, which is substantial. If he's fired at the end of the season, it would be in excess of $25 million. But I think the financial ramifications of keeping Napier for a 4th season would just be too great. So I think, at some point this season, Florida's going to have to swallow reality here and move on from Napier, because it's not just the money at, say, the ticket booth if you keep Napier for a 4th season. As we know, it's so important now to have the energy to drive more money toward NIL. And if your entire fan base and your entire donor group knows that you've got a fired coach walking into a season, like, you're not going to be able to pass the hat and raise the money you need to raise for your NIL collective, the money men are going to be holding on to their dollars because they know they're going to be the people expected to cough up money for the buyout whenever the time comes. So it's just it's become untenable at this point for Florida to move forward with Billy Napier past this season. Now, if Florida turned it around and goes 10-2, yeah, perhaps there's a way out of this, but Florida's not going to turn it around and go 10-2.
No.
We've seen enough to know that. So, yeah, I think Florida almost certainly is moving on from Billy Napier. When that time comes, yeah, I think Lane Kiffin is probably where Florida would like to start the conversation. The difficulty is hiring a coach in this 12-team playoff era. I mean, Florida's going to be sort of the guinea pig for a coaching search in the expanded playoff era. Kiffin has a playoff contending team, maybe a national championship contending team. So even if there's a chance Kiffin would be interested in Florida, which I don't know whether he would be or not, because I think you could make the argument that he would be leaving for a worse situation. But even if he would be interested, what would be the timeline of hiring him, right? Like if you have a playoff qualifying team, you couldn't get him, until at least after the first round. And then if he's in the quarterfinals or beyond, you couldn't get him until after the first of the year. And we know schools like to have their new coach in place, ideally by early December, because of the early signing period, the winter transfer portal sweepstakes open in mid-July. So that makes it difficult to go after any coach on a playoff contending team, which would include Kiffin, which would include someone else on my list, Eli Drinkwitz, who I think could have some appeal to Florida if and when this job opens. So I think those are kind of a couple of the bigger names at the top of the list. And, if you have to move past them, that's where I just don't think there's a lot of sitting Power 4 head coaches right now that would be ready for this jump and would maybe engage in a courtship from Florida. Now, Jed Fish is on my list. He just got to Washington. He's in year one at Washington, but he is a Florida alum. He was a graduate assistant at the beginning of his career under Steve Spurrier. Does that matter to him? I don't know. We can only speculate. We know for a lot of people out there, whether it should or it shouldn't, having a chance to coach the alma mater can be an opportunity that really appeals to them. And Jed Fish, I mean, he left behind a Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback in Noah Fafita in a team that could have been in Big 12 playoff contention for the Big 12's bid. He left that all behind last year to leave Arizona for what he considered to be a better job at Washington. So, if history's a guide, if he thinks Florida's a better job and that's who Florida wanted, I would think he would engage with the idea. But as you get into Group of 5 coaches, if Florida had to go down that road, I mean, this is just me speculating, but I think Ryan Silverfield would be one of the more accomplished Group of 5 coaches on the list. He now has the win against Florida State on his resume, which of course looks good to Florida. The difficulty with Florida hiring Ryan Silverfield or any Group of 5 coach would be that schools, they always want to do a 180 of what they did the last time. Whoever the fired coach was, you don't want a 2.0 of the fired coach. And I think that can rule out some very good candidates, but that's just the way schools operate. It's almost 100%. They do this. And so if and when Florida fires Billy Napier, who is a Group of 5 coach, successful at Louisiana Lafayette, I think it could be a hard sell to whoever's making that hire, and certainly to the fan base, to introduce another Group of 5 coach. So I think Silverfield would, when the time comes, I think he would probably be pretty far down the list. But he's a Jacksonville native, played the bowl school, so I think there are some boxes that he checks there that maybe other Group of 5 coaches wouldn't. So if it had to get to that tier, I could see him having some interest for Florida.
Coming into the season in the SEC, it was talked of Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, Alabama were the group, the four at the top of the conference. Has Tennessee done enough that it should be a group of five, or do we need to wait and see what happens with them at Oklahoma this week?
Yeah, I think both. I think if we're looking at this in a week-by-week bracketology type of sense, I think right now we would say that the conversation is five with the SEC, and then Missouri would be on deck as number 6. But it is a week-by-week, I think, reevaluation of the pecking order. And so if Missouri goes to Norman on Saturday and gets beat, I think that makes you recalibrate. But through 3 weeks, I think Tennessee has shown that it belongs in the top pack conversation of the conference. The defense is playing very well, and I know 2 of the games you almost have to throw out. I mean, Chattanooga and Kent State, they don't really go into the evaluation because Josh Heupel repeatedly blows out competition that's a step down. For whatever reason, that lower tier competition, they can't handle Tennessee's offense. They never can. He blows them out all the time. So the game that really matters is the blowout win at NC State. NC State has not been particularly impressive this season. They are 2-1, but their 2 wins, were closer than would have been expected against lower level opponents. So I think it's certainly plausible NC State winds up being like a 7-5 type of team. But even if that's the case, Tennessee would have beaten a 7-5 ACC team by 41 points away from Neyland Stadium, right? So it's still an impressive win. The question for me is not so much whether Tennessee's good or not. I think we know Tennessee's good. Their offense is very good. Their defense, I think, is better than I expected. That defensive front is really very good. I still have some concerns about the secondary, but they haven't really shown up so far. They haven't played an opponent that I think has been able to take advantage of that, and part of that is because the defensive front is so good that plays complementary football with their secondary, helps them out a little bit. But we know this will be a pretty harsh environment at Oklahoma. It's going to be the toughest conditions Tennessee have faced. They played that neutral site game at Charlotte, but let's face it, there were a ton of Vols fans in Charlotte. That doesn't really count as a road game. This is a true road game. So this is Nico's first true road test. He played, in the bowl game. He's played in Charlotte, but he hasn't played as the starter in a true road game yet. Now, I don't have any reason to believe that he can't handle it. He's handled everything that's come his way so far. I think he can handle it, but we don't know until we see it. So I think in so much as there is a concern for Tennessee on Saturday, it's how will Nico, hold up with 100,000 opposing fans in the venue. I think that's what's going to be interesting to see. If he goes out and lights up Oklahoma's defense, I mean, the hype for Tennessee is just going to be off the tracks. I think both teams have good defenses. I don't think Oklahoma's offense, at least from what we've seen, it looks like it's lagging behind. And Jackson Arnold, the redshirt freshman quarterback for Oklahoma, he may well end up having a very nice career. Mm-hmm. But at this point in their development, Nico's more advanced than what Jackson Arnold is.
Nico could also make a Heisman statement with this game and then another big performance against Alabama. All right, final thing for you. Any concerns with Georgia other than the players in their cars keeping to the speed limit? Anything that concerns you after a narrow dub over Kentucky?
I think if this performance from Carson Beck in the passing game shows that it wasn't an aberration, that would become a concern. But I think I need to see that more than once before I start thinking it's an aberration. I mean, we've seen a lot of Carson Beck over the last season and a half, and he's proven to be a pretty darn good quarterback. He didn't look good at all on Saturday, and didn't have a lot of help at times either. I mean, really the offense was pretty meager. But overall, no, I'm not hitting much of a panic button with Georgia yet, and I think the reason is just because we've seen this so many times before.
Right.
We saw it a couple years back with a narrow road win against Missouri, and I think it was Kentucky in 2022. Georgia looked bad on the road at Kentucky that year. They clunked around at a 16-6 victory, and earlier in that season, they were taken to the wire by Missouri in September, and then Georgia runs the table, goes undefeated, wins the national championship. Last year, they have pretty unimpressive road victories at Auburn and at Georgia Tech. So we've seen this from Georgia before. I don't think if anything, it comes at a great time for Kirby Smart. If he felt like he needed to refocus his program or to light a fire under them, they have a bye this week before that huge clash with Alabama in Tuscaloosa a week from now. I mean, now he gets to remind his team at every turn that they just beat Kentucky only by a single point. The AP voters took him from the top spot in the polls. I mean, I don't think Kirby wanted it to be that close on Saturday. It was a little too close for even Kirby's comfort, but this works out to his advantage because we know how good he is as a motivator. Doesn't mean it will work this time. Every team is different. However, I think there is a track record there that's why I'm not hitting any type of panic button for Georgia yet. Having said that, I think Alabama is pretty good. I know they didn't look against South Florida, but I think Alabama is pretty good. So Georgia could still be one of the best teams in the nation. And if they were playing that game tomorrow in Tuscaloosa, I think I'd pick Alabama, actually.
Well, and the funny thing you brought up last year, week 3, they were trailing South Carolina 14-3 at home at halftime. Came back, won that game, and
the rest is history.
They were okay from there on out.
They were, yeah, and I think they got a really, really good team again. The driving stuff is a separate issue it's dangerous. We all know it. I mean, we've seen, unfortunately, how dangerous and serious and life-threatening and life-taking that situation is at Georgia. I'm not as convinced as some others that is linked to football problems. That some people believe that it is. I think that can be a convenient narrative sometimes when things are happening off the field. I think it is a very serious issue that Kirby Smart should feel compelled to address for moral and safety reasons. I don't think that's why Georgia went out and clunked around against Kentucky. And as we're saying, I don't believe yet that Georgia's in trouble, but maybe there's something there that I'm not seeing.
No, I think we're in agreement. We'll see with their next performance. They got a bye this week, Georgia?
They do.
Yeah,
they are off this week. Yeah, leading up to that huge game with Alabama.
All right, we'll see in 2 weeks. He is Blake Topmeyer, USA Today Network, SEC columnist. Make sure to read all his great stuff at USA Today. You can hear him with us every other Tuesday, so we'll talk to you in 2 weeks. I guess we'll be recapping that game between Georgia and Alabama. Follow him on Twitter at @BTopmeyer. Blake, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Good talking to you guys.
You too. Okay, sports, or I'll make that Shoot 360 Memphis. I've been talking about these guys for months now. If you are a basketball player looking to become a better shooter, looking to become a better all-around player, this is the place for you. Take your basketball skills to the next level. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility. It combines cutting-edge technology with gamification, provides instant objective feedback with hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. They have some great coaches in there, great folks that know the game of basketball, like former Memphis Grizzlies assistant Scott Adebato. I was at their recent grand opening at the Cordova location. Just a beautiful facility, and you can do it month to month. A monthly membership is available. You don't have to be bogged down with some long-term membership. Take it, do it for a month, see what you think. I think you'll fall in love with it. If not, no harm, no foul. Shoot 360 Memphis. You've seen nothing like this. I guarantee it. Go out there and take a tour at either their Collierville or their Cordova locations. Give them a call at 901-316-5500. Tell them you want to tour the facility, or go online to sign up at Shoot 360 Memphis. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 at 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby. At Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Summer's heating up, and so are the savings at Choate's. We've got 3 incredible offers to make your season spectacular. First up, our Grill and Chill with Choate's Summer Special. Upgrade your HVAC system and choose between a free Yeti cooler or a Green Egg grill on select systems. Then power through any outage with Choate's generators. Be one of the first 50 customers to buy a generator and score a massive 75-inch TV or an iPad. Also, don't forget about our tankless water heater offer. Purchase a tankless water heater from Choate's and receive a premium toilet free. Don't wait. These offers are too good to last. Turn to the experts with Choate's and call 347-8086 or visit us online today for your free estimate. Now introducing Choate's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and generators. Choate's, let our family serve your family.
We're here with David Cooper, Vice President of Genesis Diamonds. David, we're familiar with iconic brands. Are there designers for engagement rings?
Absolutely. Like every other industry, there are 10 renowned bridal designers who have been leading the industry for years. They're trusted, respected, and exclusive. Every jewelry store wishes to help.
So what makes these designer engagement rings so desirable?
These designers drive a surge of customers to the store, making it the place to be. They attract shoppers who value quality, sophistication, and the ability to express their individuality.
Customers find these engagement rings in other stores?
Absolutely. Other stores would love to have them, but they have to sell for what they can get and what they wish to have.
So Genesis is cornering the market.
Certainly. World-class exclusive selection from $1,900 complete rings to $250,000 silver rings. Best bridal designers in the world create these one-of-a-kind rings specifically to showcase
Genesis Diamonds, Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Yes, you could go to some chain restaurant for breakfast. Lots of people do. It's the obvious choice. Or you could go to Memphis's favorite homegrown breakfast places, Sunrise on Jefferson or Sunrise East on Poplar. Sunrise is a Memphis original, and you can rely on getting a fast, fresh breakfast, or lunch for that matter, with nothing coming off of the back of a truck frozen. Whether it's breakfast or lunch, it's all made right here in Memphis. There's a reason why the 2 locations of Sunrise are the Memphis destinations for great, fast, fresh food. It's Sunrise.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is a PCUSA church located in town Memphis.
Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and this hour brought to you by James Floors and More. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
So, Danny White in Tennessee. Interesting move that he was talking to, I guess it was Andy Staples that he did the interview with.
They leaving the SEC?
They are going to be leading the SEC down a path that I'm sure everybody else will follow. He says that they are going to start knowing that revenue sharing is just around the corner, and the extra money that it's going to cost, which he estimates with the additional scholarships, revenue sharing, and everything, he, I guess, estimated the actual cost at $30 million a year. Well, Tennessee, in order to recoup some of that money and get ahead of things, they are going to start charging a 10% fee on all season and single game tickets, which they are calling a talent fee. He said it is a talent fee. It's going directly to the talent. It's going to our student athletes as part of this new world order in college sports. So I know our fans will embrace it.
Well, it makes sense to me. Now, Tennessee will have no problem. Some schools will have problems. There will be people that will not want to buy tickets because they don't want to pay the extra money, but also that maybe they are so old school that they don't want anything to do with that, even though obviously it's above board now. I'm talking about some of the old schoolers out there. Why am I going to pay extra money for this? Well, to keep up with the Joneses, you have to do it. Revenue sharing is going to cripple a lot of programs out there, and you have to think outside the box. And I know Tim, as a commissioner, is talking about different ways to find revenue streams for the conference, which will help with the bottom line. But each individual school has to think of things that are a little bit different, a little bit unorthodox. And I think Danny White, that's a smart move right there.
Well, it's a genius. Because all the people are always up in arms about you, like wanting athletes being paid. Well, here you're paying the athletes directly.
You're paying the athletes.
We're just asking you for 10% more on your ticket,
yes,
and it's going to go right to the athletes. So you wanted the athletes paid, you're paying them. We're just, and this is just a small portion of all of the money we're going to be paying those athletes. So, I would imagine that every school pretty much in America will try this. Like, why do this is dumb not to do so. Maybe it's not 10% everywhere or whatever, but yes, some fee on your tickets that you say this is going directly to the players.
What's the number he's calculated? Did he have? Is that in the story? So
they think that's will be about $10 million.
$10 million. Yeah, think about it. I mean, you get 100,000 at the game. 10% of that. I mean, you're talking some pretty good money. Now, for those type of schools, while it's still going to hit everybody in the bottom line, it will affect them a little bit less than it will affect schools like Memphis and other schools. Memphis is in a better position than other schools in the group of five. Not all of them, but some of them. Man, and we'll see if the judge approves this settlement, which wasn't approved the first time, but now they're changing around. Not quite the language they said. What was the story yesterday? But the kind of what the meaning of it is. They may have to alter the language a little bit, but I think that deal will get done. They're going to avoid a trial. It's not going to happen. But revenue sharing is going to be here soon. And the scholarship limitations and things of that nature, that's going to affect a lot of programs.
Matt texts in, says, what if the University of Memphis partnered with Kroger and they did one of those roundup things where you round up your change to the next dollar and it went to the University of Memphis NIL?
Yeah, screw the charities they do right now.
I know
like
there's a lot of Tiger fans here shopping at Kroger, and I would think that might be a way to generate he said info, I assume that means income.
Yeah, but they do they do
all
that now, don't they? But they do that for charities. They do that for like homeless people, or they do this for whatever. You're not going to go away from that charity to pay athletes. That ain't no way they're going to go. I don't think.
Well, again, I mean, it's an idea. Like, it doesn't have to be Kroger. It can be anything.
Well, I was just responding specifically to that one. If you're involved in doing something where somebody is benefiting from it from a charity standpoint, I don't think you're going to give up on that to pay the players. But yes, it's the right idea. It's the right concept. You got to think outside the box. I keep saying that, but you have to. You got to come up with ingenious ideas.
I didn't even know Kroger did the roundup thing. I've never been asked to round up at Kroger. I'm asked to round up at other places. I always say no. Sorry.
I say, can I round down?
I know Lowe's always asked me to round up. Kroger, I don't think has asked me to round up.
Price is like $84.95. I say, can I pay $70?
But I mean the whole again. these places are going to have to do very creative idea. Yeah, and Matt says, I know McDonald's does. Didn't think Kroger does. Yeah, I don't think Kroger does. I've never been asked to route up at Kroger.
Right.
So could the University of Memphis theoretically do something with Kroger
and
like
McDonald's
that?
does it for the Ronald McDonald House, is it? I mean, again, it's for charity. You're not going to pull out of that. But the idea,
But again, Kroger doesn't do it right now. So, yes, theoretically, could the University of Memphis go to Kroger and maybe come up with something like that? It might, yeah. I mean,
yes.
You got to be creative. You got to figure out ways.
They have a good relationship with Kroger.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's all whatever avenues you can find to create new income. Because going to the same people who give you money now and asking them for more money or just basically redirecting their money, like that's not getting you there. Like,
no.
Especially for the University of Memphis when you're trying to raise the money for the stadium, all of these other things, like they need new revenue streams.
They have to
and
find new
whether
outlets.
that be something like that, yeah, I mean, whatever they can come up with. Again, I mean, that thing that Tennessee's doing, that's genius. Like, yes, I mean, hey, y'all want, and how, okay, like, I don't know what single game tickets are for Tennessee games. I have no idea, but let's say it's $70, $80, whatever. I don't know what it and you say till somebody, okay, so it's going to be instead of $77 because we're going to give that extra 10% directly to the player. I can't imagine fans are going to go, nope, not paying that extra $7 to the players. Not willing to do it.
There could be some, but more than likely the bulk of them would not have a problem with it. It's a little bit different, but the hotel and motel tax that goes to help with the renovations and the cost that will be for FedEx Forum and things of that nature, where they're getting that extra revenue from, they're thinking outside the box. They're thinking, what can we do? Well, we get the taxes, and we'll use some of that sales tax to go to that. It's really robbing Peter to pay Paul, but a lot of times
that's the thing. Like, all that is redirecting money. They got to find ways to not redirect money. They got to find new money.
They got to find money whichever way they can find it.
Something like that would be new money. That's money that's not there. That's not saying, hey, we used to take this money and put it here. We're going to put it here now. That's all that tax thing is doing. Is just taking, so whoever was getting the money now has to figure out how they make up the difference. The University of Memphis has to find new money. Like, they just, wherever it is or however it is, they have to figure out new revenue streams that haven't been there before if they want to be able to keep up with the level of investment that Commissioner Pernetti's talking about, that they want to set as the floor, the standard for the conference, because you don't want to be at just the floor. Whatever the floor the conference sets is, you don't want to be sitting on that floor. You want to be above that, and hopefully above, because there's going to be other schools that have to just sit at the floor. You want to be above those and be able to offer more. But that, again, you have to have the revenue to be able to do that.
Yeah, they have to do it, but good luck in finding that. I mean, but the people behind those closed doors over at the university and other people that they deal with that are much smarter than me, they got to figure this thing out.
Mid-South Ag Equipment, for all your equipment needs. Go see the folks at Mid-South Ag Equipment, just south of Collierville on Goodman Road. If you take I-269 to the Goodman Road exit, there's just a half mile west, so very easy to find, very easy to get to. And you can also find them online, midsouthag.com, where you can check out all the information about the Case IH Farmall series of tractors, the bush hog equipment, everything they have down there at Mid-South Ag Equipment. Not only the new equipment, but pre-owned equipment. Check out the inventory there. Check out special deals they've got going on as well. It's all at Mid-South Ag Equipment. Again, just south of Collierville on Goodman Road. The actual address, 3044 Highway 302. But again, online at midsouthag.com.
We're coming back to wrap up this busy Tuesday edition of Sports 56 Mornings right here on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Spencer
here with ATC Fitness. There's no better time of the year than now. Football and fitness go hand in hand in the fall. And with individual screens on each piece of cardio and multiple big screens throughout the rest of the club, you'll never miss a bit of the action watching your favorite team. ATC Fitness continues to be the Mid-South's choice for fitness, family-owned for 30 years, and proud supporters of Coach Silverfield and the Memphis Tigers. Join online at atcfitness.com. ATC Fitness. Exercise your right to look good.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner. Maybe start with an appetizer like our baked sweet peculiar peppers stuffed with goat cheese and mozzarella, finished with basil pistou, and move on to one of our cozy dishes like the double chocolate stout braised boneless beef short ribs with tonkatsu sauce and creamy mashed potatoes. Or a fresh seafood dish like our pan-roasted ginger-buttered sea bass with cilantro soy vinaigrette. I get hungry just talking about it. Don't forget about dessert, our famous sweet buttermilk pie with brown sugar sauce, or drink your dessert with one of our signature dessert cocktails, like the lemon cheesecake martini, lemony, icy, frothy, and dusted with graham cracker crumbs. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. We can't wait to serve you.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. Life-changing. You could put that money towards that zero-turn lawnmower you've always wanted. And after using its lead-shaping technology to meticulously sculpt the face of the Mona Lisa in your grass, you'll become the undisputed king of Saturday morning lawn care, leaving your neighbor and sworn enemy daring to question his place in the delicate neighborhood ecosystem. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Jenkins Floors and More invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:50 is the time. Mike, hang on. We're going to get to you here to kind of close out the show. I do want to tell you about one of our great sponsors. That's the Crazy Coop. If you're ready to take your game day or your tailgating to a whole new level, the Crazy Coop on Stage Road has you covered. Whole wings and boneless wings, over 32 mouth-watering secret sauces, including jalapeno cheddar. That's too hot for me. But I love the barbecue bacon bourbon. If you have 6 people or 60, you can kick off your game day with Crazy Coop party packs for at home or wherever you tailgate. Special bulk prices are a touchdown for you as well. If you got a big party going on, visit crazycoopstage.com to customize your wings and sauces like Nashville Hot or the Crazy Hot Suicide. And don't forget to add garlic Parmesan, fries, fried dill pickles, and refreshing carrot and celery sticks. For the full menu, visit crazycoopstage.com. Burgers, which I've had before, big juicy burgers, catfish fillets, nuggets. They got crazy kid meals. That's the Crazy Coop, crazycoopstage.com. You'd be crazy not to visit the Coop. The Crazy Coop on Stage Road. It's west of Appling. And stay tuned for the new downtown location. It's opening soon. Visit crazycoopstage.com. All right, we were talking about NIL money and different ingenious revenue ways or revenue avenues to go down to try to get more income in there for what is going to be revenue sharing. And Mike has an idea about the roundup. Mike, how are you?
Yeah, I think you take your 12 largest retailers or corporations and have one each month that you can recognize, but that kind of spreads the burden throughout the community, but you get to recognize the different businesses that do participate. Certainly hotel, all the tourism stuff is going to take care of itself, but certainly a portion of that. But I also got a crazy idea. I'm just running this by you real quick. I know y'all are trying to finish up. But with realignment, all the things going on today, but I think Memphis ought to petition or talk to the Big Ten, offer to take half the money until they can play their way into it, almost like a poker game. But take half the money. I think Big Ten would love a foothold in SEC country, and you're taking money. I don't think you want to go SMU style and pay your way in, but by not taking as much of the money, I think that would be something sustainable. Certainly, way more money than what you're getting now, or would be looking to get in Pac-12 or 2 or whoever they decide to be.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
I think, thanks.
I appreciate it. Well, I mean, that would be ideal, but what do you bring to that conference? How does the Big Ten, even if they wanted to expand, what are they looking at? We just talked about that with the commissioner. You have to bring something to the table. What does Memphis bring to the table to be a 17th team in the Big Ten? Now, I think the Big Ten will eventually go to 20. But I think the Big Ten is holding out to see what happens with some of these ACC teams, because I do believe in the end, if they do get out of their contracts, they got to have a place to land, and there'll be a battle between the SEC and the Big Ten to probably add a few of those schools. But yeah, if they were that appealing, Memphis, to a power conference like the Big Ten, well, it would have happened years ago.
Yeah, the Big Ten has no interest in Memphis. Sorry. Would the Big Ten maybe like to get into SEC country? Yeah, if it was Florida State and those ACC, Clemson, ACC teams, then maybe, yes, they'd have some interest. They don't care about Memphis.
You have to you have to have value. You have to bring value, and unfortunately, Memphis doesn't bring the value that a Florida State and a Clemson would bring if they want to expand. I do think they'll eventually expand. As far as the other thing he said about the NIL, money, looking at different revenue streams, I think that's a pretty cool idea, is to have different businesses that are sponsors of the school. You might have companies here, obviously, that are in town that couldn't care less about the University of Memphis, but that are associated with the University of Memphis as sponsors or whatever, and they have businesses where there is money exchanged in that sense with people where they can round up. For example, as somebody said, Kroger, food stores, restaurants, maybe hotels. There's other. AutoZone would be, think about AutoZone. You had all the AutoZone stores in the region, and you bought something for $35, $55, and there's $45, but it adds up. You know how many customers they get per day, per week, per month? That's a good example. And that's, again, I don't know if they are per se a sponsor with the university. I know they are with the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, but I'm just thinking out loud here of what Mike had to say. That's
what Matt brought up was Kroger.
That makes sense. Well, no, he said Kroger does it. And then I said, if they do it, and I couldn't remember if they did, they probably do it with a sponsor, and they're not going to change. Again, McDonald's does it. It might be the Ronald McDonald House. You're not going to dump the Ronald McDonald House to go and round up for Memphis Athletics. That's what I was saying. But Kroger doesn't do it. It makes sense because they are a partner with Kroger. What I was saying is if Kroger was doing it already, which he had said, then they were probably doing it with a charity. You're not going to dump a charity for that. That's what I was saying.
No,
right?
Kroger is a huge partner. They do the $5 Kroger tickets. Like, Kroger is a huge partner, and you're not going to get many more customers and things than a grocery store.
But I like what Mike was saying. Restaurants, maybe it's an AutoZone. Maybe you can get them aboard on something like this. I mean, thinking outside the box and having a different one each month, and then their sponsor is promoted, especially during sporting events that happen in that month.
Well, it'd be great if you had 12 different ones every single month. They all were involved all year. Like, why limit to one month? Do them all the time. Like, that's your goal.
Well, that's true.
As much money as you could possibly raise.
That's true.
If AutoZone wanted on board and they were doing it, great. Come on board.
I guess
Kroger wants to do it. Do it. Come on board. I guess
his point was to single out each month a company that is part of this program, and to give them their just rewards, as opposed to being one of 12.
Again, it's their advertisers, all that, and it's not costing them extra money.
Right.
So it's not like that. All it is they're asking their customers to round up. So it's not doing anything to them. So, yeah, come on board for the whole year. Like if AutoZone and Kroger and 10 others want to all do it year round, yeah, we're going to highlight them all year rather than one month of the year.
Yeah, and it's a prerogative for the customer if they want to round up. They don't have to. They're not obligated to do it.
Genesis Diamonds. You don't have to worry about rounding up over there. Go over there. You're going to get great prices. And they're going to you're going to be rounding down, not necessarily rounding down, but you're going to get great prices that are down from what you normally would pay because you're getting direct importer pricing on those diamonds. They're saving you money with a great selection, top designers, everything you can imagine. And again, saving you money with great value on what it is you're going to buy. Plus, they're going to help you be a smarter shopper, educate you on what you should be looking for when you're buying jewelry to make you a smarter shopper, whether you're buying from them or somewhere else, things that you should be looking for, what affects pricing, all those different things. Things that you probably do not know, they're there to educate you and help you become a smarter shopper when it comes to buying jewelry. Genesis Diamonds, located at Poplar and Perkins Center. When it comes to selection, prices, and service, you're not going to beat them at Genesis Diamonds.
When Utah and Oklahoma State meet this weekend, the two quarterbacks, a combined age of 49. The Colts-Bears game, the two combined quarterbacks, the age was 44. Think about that for a second. I want to thank Tim Pernetti, the commissioner of the American, for joining us. Blake Topmeyer as well. We're back tomorrow, bright and early, starting at 7. Pete Medhurst, the voice of Navy. We'll talk Tennessee Vols, Oklahoma with Dave Hooker. Jerry Palm from CBS Sports, and DeMichael Cole on the Grizzlies. Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 is next for Eli Savoy and Zach Boyd. I'm Greg Gaston. Have a great day, everybody.